Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate, so we buy shit we don't need.
The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat.
You have owners. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
This is Online Podcast.
Right, hit it again, just make sure it's I'm gonna hit that whenever we talk about something horrible. It sounds like a sitcom. It's exact sitcom laugh is what it's called. Yeah.
Thank you, Wade.
It's not. It's sponsored by
Andrew's
my wallet
account.
Thank you, Andrew. You're welcome. So, all right. So we got our talking points. We are ready to roll.
Evil ocean monsters.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
I was freaked
I saw
out.
a video on Facebook today. I think it was from Costa Rica. Someone posted a video of the world's largest shark ever documented.
Oh yeah, that big monstrous thing.
Huge.
Yeah, when you see the people,
and you could tell it was real old too, because it was beat up and stuff.
It's already recording, Casey.
No, it doesn't.
No, I think you're all right.
But yeah, I think it was terrifying. Okay. And the guy was like standing outside the cage. I almost wanted him to get eaten just because he would have deserved it. I hate when people they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe
he reached up to like touch it."
Yeah, it's like, I can't believe that shark diver got attacked by a shark. I'm like, no, I very much believe it.
I think that you have to have a really high level of respect when you're in like a foreign environment like that, especially with a monster, an ancient monster that's designed to munch on anything.
As
and
I get older, my anxiety with the ocean is getting worse and worse. I don't know how it started, because I've always watched shark movies, so it wasn't like I saw Jaws when I was like in my 20s and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
Just as I get older, the paranoia is getting way worse.
More paranoia.
Like I used to be perfectly fine with it, and now like I really don't enjoy it. Like I love swimming too. Like that's the thing that sucks, is that I love swimming, but as soon as I get into the ocean and I don't see anything,
freak out.
Oh, I hate it. I get real nervous. And then
no longer invincible.
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
That is probably true.
Maybe, yeah.
It's that mortality creeping into your brain.
I don't know about that.
Maybe it's just
he does other things that would say
that's true. That's been destroyed a long time ago.
It's not really a fear of dying sort of thing. I think it's just more of I don't want to get attacked by a goddamn shark. But no, like 2 or 3 years ago, I went to a beach in Florida with the like super clear water. Like, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like I can see what's coming, so I should be okay. And that actually kind of made it worse, because then I could see everything, and it was. It was at a beach in Florida where it was like a small body of water, then a sandbar, and then the ocean.
Yeah.
So everyone was like swimming to the sandbar, but there's a good amount of distance between the shore and the sandbar.
Yep.
And then as I'm looking in the water, I'm like, I see a ton of fish. I'm like, sharks go where the fish are.
Yeah, they're
like,
gonna.
This is a horrible idea, and I was panicking. And like everyone was swimming in the sandbar, so I'm like, I gotta swim in the sandbar. So I'm not just the guy that hangs out at the sand.
They can smell fear too, fear and blood. So you're in bad shape.
Plenty of one of those, but I was weird. I was like, I'm just gonna swim near the kids and the old people, because I feel like if a shark comes, he's probably gonna go for them and not me. Like I wasn't gonna be a hero that day.
Take one of the kids and just throw it at the shark.
That's what you got to do. You got to make sure you're the fastest one.
I'm horrible.
The fastest swimmer.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, if it's gonna go for me, a child, or an old person, I would think it'd be smart enough to not go for me and go for the easy meal.
Except Bobby's going to be the one flailing around the most. So
I know.
Go right
I just
for you.
ran through it as fast as I could.
It's going to think that you're the injured one and go right after you.
No, I don't know what happened. I just took a turn.
That's a timely topic, though.
On
that note, welcome everyone to the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Dart Warrior Podcast. We got a lot of good stuff, current events, and things that are happening right now. I'm Andrew Kish, joined with Bobby Zeke.
Hello.
Casey Snipes. And Telly the Greek.
What up?
So anyway, back to that point. I mean,
the sharks.
Yeah, we had a couple of incidents that happened. Just
that was in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 kids. And they said it was like within a mile of each other.
Yeah, I think it was right down the beach.
Were they killed or just attacked?
I don't know yet.
I'm pretty sure it was just lost limbs.
I mean, that's still pretty bad.
But
that's the worst.
But they said the one kid was in the water. He comes running out of the water with his arm either off or hanging.
Oh my god!
And saying is this real? Is this a movie? That's the
Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
that's what
the kid was saying.
Well, they didn't have video of the kid coming out of the water,
but he was kind of
one of the witnesses, somebody that was there on site, adult, said that was. It seemed like saying.
Oh man!
No, that's what the kid was saying as he was coming out of the water. But they're more locally to us. This was like 2-3 months ago. There was a larger shark that was spotted in the Jersey Shore. Yeah,
was it Cape May?
Cape May, I think, somewhere around there.
It was around there.
But they've been following that shark.
It was a female great white.
That's right. They were tracking it. Yeah,
they have a tracker on it somehow. I don't know, or they.
It's probably just one of the studies that they're doing of their migration and whatever. Where they go.
It got close, but not.
Yeah, but I'm saying somehow they have it tracked.
Yeah, they have they put a tracker in its dorsal fin. And they do those studies periodically where they'll tag a bunch of great white sharks to see how they how they move and how they feed.
Right, but it seemed like they were surprised to see it.
No, I think they were surprised that it popped up.
It came up this
where
north.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was more of it was usually more southern.
Yeah,
or something,
or it was far from where they tagged it or something. So they were I guess they were commenting on that it moved a great distance and then it was near a public, really kind of a hot spot, I guess, in the Jersey area.
Yeah,
I mean, anytime.
But obviously before, it was a couple months ago, so that was maybe April, May. March, April, May. I mean, not in primetime season, which is now through the next couple months.
Right. I think that from the report that I saw about the kids, and I didn't see maybe what you guys had seen, but I saw a report that said that they thought it was a large shark because of the wounds, because it took the limbs off. Right. So. With that thinking, I mean, because they're up close here. I mean, I don't know what type of shark it was. Tiger sharks, aren't they warm water? I think they're warm water.
I'm not sure.
Wait, that wasn't up here. That was in Carolina.
Right, but I'm saying that's still kind of close to the East Coast.
I just know that they don't really have migration habits anymore. They used to be able to know where they would migrate, but because of the polar caps melting and the ocean temperatures changing, they don't really stick to their usual habits anymore. So now they're kind of just all over the place.
Yeah, and also because of that, they call it the North Atlantic current or whatever.
Right.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Where the current underwater, where it takes the cold water and the hot water is goes on top. I mean, it's I don't know anything really scientific about it, but I do know that there is a current that kind of dictates weather, and it dictates the flow of the ocean and migration of fish and what have you. So if that's being disturbed by the ice caps melting, I mean we might be seeing,
because of the rising water levels.
Yeah, we might also be seeing these kind of things because of that. Also combined with maybe overfishing. That type of stuff. I mean, that's what I thought right away. I was like,
meaning that they're hungry,
or they're just resorting to another option, right? Where maybe that didn't happen before.
Yeah, because they're having to leave their natural habitats or natural areas,
or maybe just coming closer.
Overfishing. Right, because of overfishing and their source of food is disappearing.
That could be another reason for sure. Yeah.
The report that I saw about the boy. Not the girl. I guess there was a young preteen girl or 13-year-old girl or 12-year-old.
It was two kids.
But the boy, from what I saw in the article, it said that a witness said that the shark came out of the water. What? It literally breached the water.
Sharknado. I knew it was real.
Yeah, exactly. It breached out of the water and grabbed his arm, and then I don't know how true that is. That's just an eyewitness account or something but that also could be journalistic, kind of.
Can you imagine that? You're in the ocean. You wouldn't have time to process that because you'd be like, "Is that a shark?" And you already in its mouth. You wouldn't have time to process it.
I don't think most people can ever are fast enough to process what's happening unless they're a surfer that gets knocked off their surfboard or something. Where it's almost a pre-attack and then they get
and the other thing is how far out do you got to be? But I guess that that's different everywhere, because some places you can go out a bit and be like up to your knees.
Well, that's what Bobby was saying, where the sandbar or something like that.
Yeah.
And then most of the time, I think sharks attack from the bottom up, right? Like they come from the depths and just hit.
Yeah,
well, maybe that's just great white.
They don't even attack where it's that deep anymore.
Well, no, it was 3-foot water. They said.
Yeah,
they said they were in waist deep water.
It's crazy.
That's really scary.
That's just average.
So low.
That's average.
That's not like you're even swimming yet.
That's like my threshold in the ocean. It's like I'll go in with my son at waist deep and that's it. But now it's like, what do I do? Just like hang out by the
old ladies.
You know, just the old ladies like sitting on the beach and just sinking into the sand.
It's scary.
Your Chief Brody from Jaws. You're just hanging on the beach with a black shirt on.
You know, is that shit gonna happen in the up this way, Jersey Shore, Delaware, like New Jersey, New York beaches this summer? Will it happen?
One thing that I think
is scary.
One thing I think is interesting about humans is that we have like such a strong ego that we actually are surprised when stuff like this happens. We're in their environment. We're in their world, where they exist,
right.
And we're surprised that people get like accidentally bitten or bitten for food or mistaken for whatever. I think
it's pretty low so far from what it should be.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I think normally they have like 50 some attacks worldwide or something annually, which is still. I mean, think about how many people are in the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, there's millions upon millions of people that are going into the ocean and bathing and swimming and whatever. That's a substantially low number. Of shark attacks. I think it's just because it's close to home and the severity of it that shocked me. Yeah. Because normally you might see it.
For the past bunch of years, you hear that stuff happening all the time. Not all the time, but there's been shark attacks. Even in like Florida, stuff happens.
I think there was one recently.
Yeah, there was one. I think. Yeah, but
there was also one in Hawaii where somebody was killed. It was a big deal because it was one of the first deaths in the last couple of years. Like we've gone without deaths in the U.S. and and somebody was either surfing or just out in there and they got killed.
We've gone without shark deaths?
Without deaths from sharks.
Really?
In the U.S. I think it was like 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Just been injuries.
That's really crazy and hard to believe, but
well, that's not worldwide. I mean, I think down in like Australia, that probably is like multiple times a year. I mean. You think because they have like South Africa where they have that ring of fire they call it where the seals swim from like an island or something to the Horn in Africa.
I actually saw something interesting the other night. Now that we're talking about this, it reminded me on Nightline on ABC, Adrian Grenier, who's the guy from Entourage.
Which guy?
The lead actor, Vinny. Vinny.
Right.
The main guy.
The handsome one.
He was on. He's like very. I think I'd heard this previously. He's very into like charity work and into like good causes. So they had him on they were celebrating World Oceans Day, which I guess just happened recently, like within the past week maybe. Or maybe 2 by the time they filmed this and got it on the air. He was in Costa Rica, this place called Coco's Island.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, well, so they went on a.
I feel like the story gets dark.
Sounds like there's like a swim up bar around the whole entire beach. You know what I mean? Like
welcome
to Coco's Island,
or Amity Island.
Yeah.
Amity means friendship.
Yeah. Was that Jaws?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a story about Jaws, so just remind me to bring that up later.
So it's a haven area for like endangered. I mean, I guess a lot of these sharks are becoming endangered, even though they're popping up.
Oh no, sharks are extremely endangered
because they're being killed for their fins,
take them out
and stuff. So, but anyway, it was a really cool. It's online. I'm looking at it right now. Well, I'm not watching it, but it's on ABC News's website. But it was really cool, and he was there with like a couple other people who were like, these expedition type of people. And there's people who are there who are like protecting this area,
right?
And they went. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is they were in the water with these sharks all around. So for them to be in the water like that, we'll post it. We'll post this on. I'll post this video online for sure.
Wait, so they were trying to show awareness that the sharks aren't violent and brutal toward humans. I mean, what was the purpose of the?
Well, just showing that this is an area where they're like protecting the species.
I gotcha.
But they went in the water with, just the handful of them or few of them, and they were swimming around, and the sharks were like not smothering them, but you gotta
have some balls to do that, man.
Yeah,
that's not.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy that like people will just be on the Jersey Shore, but maybe when they're more relaxed in that habitat, maybe in Costa Rica, if it's like in an area where there's like not a lot going on, as opposed to people like being on a shoreline, kicking around and splashing and whatever else. Yeah. I don't know, but regardless, that was just something really cool to see, and it's relevant to what we were discussing.
It had to be controlled in some way.
Did they have any?
Well,
like
you know what? Watch the video and then bring your opinion back, and then we'll see what happens.
That's like Siegfried and Roy, saying that tigers are all gentle for how many years, and then the one gets his face ripped off.
I think one thing that we always have to keep in mind is that animals are animals, no matter what, and like even, this is like such a.
There's no rules.
No.
Yeah.
This is such a doesn't really 100% correlate, but even with my kids, I'm cautious around anybody walking their dog. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because you never know, right? You never know. And you have to have some type of respect for the animal world that shit could get crazy at any moment. I mean, I've been almost attacked by a crazy rogue squirrel. Like jumped down into a tree and bounced on a limb like right by my head. And it was like trying to
rabies, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, who knows?
Stuff happens with like deer and other animals where it's like they just have no control and they're
just wilding out, and that's what happens. So I have respect for all animals. I try to just let them. I live and let live kind of thing. I don't want to get in their environment. And this is where the shark thing gets me freaked out, because it's just like sometimes people put themselves in a situation which is really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would be swimming like that. Like you were saying that article.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be swimming with sharks. Regardless
the people
of how awesome
the people that were the pros that were helping to protect this area.
Right.
I mean, obviously they were professionals.
Yeah, so they knew the signs and everything.
They were directing, the people that were going in, or the few people, and he was one of them. But anyway, regardless,
it brings up a really good. I'll get into my Jaws thing, but before I do, I figured this brings up a good point. Like, what is the thing? I think this is the primal fear of humans, is like being eaten by a big monster, right? I mean, because when you're a kid, you're thinking about.
Because it's slow. It's not like an instant death. Yeah.
But I mean, don't we already innately have a fear of like sharp teeth and like snarling monsters, And I think that this kind of thing gets inside you a little more than
the unknown.
If somebody gets hit by a car.
It's like the unknown and unpredictable. Like I can relate to what Bobby was saying.
It's just wild. Like whenever my art,
it's the most violent of violent things.
Whenever a cat gets out, it's being a little bitch. You have to go grab it. Like it's gonna bite and scratch me, and I know it. I know it's not gonna hurt that much, but I'm still just like, well, it's outside for today. Like that's just what's happening.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's just weird. Fangs and teeth. You don't want to be near that, even if you kind of know deep down, like, okay, it's not gonna be that bad.
Right.
But still, it's still freaky.
But I think that's what nightmares and stuff are like kind of made out of. Like, because when I was a kid, so this is my Jaws story. So when I was a kid, I was, when did Jaws come out? Like 79 or 80 or something like that?
Definitely in the 70s. Yeah.
Was it 70s? Okay. So Jaws comes out. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, so I must have been.
A couple years old.
No, I was probably like 5, 6, 7, around that age, right? And Jaws was on.
Oh, so you're saying you saw it at home? It just happened to be on.
I saw it on TV. So I might have even been older.
I was gonna say what adult would have taken you to watch that?
No,
5 years old in the theater.
No. So the movie was on, and I wasn't allowed to watch it. But so then, I had to go to bed. And then, but I know I snuck down, and the way our living room was set up, there was like a picture behind the couch, but it had like a reflective, glass, so it reflected the TV, so I could kind of sneak down the steps. And the way our steps were, like you come down the steps, and there was like a part, like a wall, where half the steps you couldn't see. Do you know what I mean? Going to the upstairs, so I could just sneak down, look around the corner, watch through the glass, and I could see the movie. So, in retrospect, that was a really bad idea, because I watched, Jaws, which, I mean, it's not by all accounts, right? It's PG, but it's probably one of the creepiest movies
That was also at a time when there wasn't PG-13 too, so it was either that or R. And
okay.
R, yeah.
Okay, so you think it would have been R? Now?
No. I think at that time it was just PG and R.
So you would have said PG-13.
It definitely would have been PG-13.
Now,
I think there was PG-13, but there's no what is it, NC-17 or whatever. Do they use that much?
What, NC-17?
Yeah, is that still? I
think that's just for like extreme nudity.
I'm willing to bet they didn't have PG-13 at that time.
In the 80s?
I don't know.
That was 70s.
Well, I mean,
but it was definitely
okay. It was
whatever. Actually, I think the scariest part might even be the beginning of that movie. Just when you don't see anything, but it's just a girl in dark water. Like that's frightening. That makes every kid afraid to go swimming at night.
This is where what I was going to get into is that you don't really see anything in the movie other than the reaction of people splashing in the water, and then at the end, obviously, you see the shark, at the boat.
It's just all in your head.
But I don't think I saw the end of the movie because I obviously kind of snuck back into my room and fell asleep. But the scenes where is Jaws the one it was the kid on the raft, right? And then they just show the raft kind of float up, and then it's like blood on it.
Yeah.
So all I needed was the music, the creepy underwater shots, you know what I mean, like where they show, the underwater feet dangling in the water and like the music coming and it's slowly building, to that crescendo as the shark's coming, and that iconic, soundtrack. So that freaked me out for probably weeks. I had nightmares of like sharks biting me and whatever.
I had reoccurring nightmares of sharks.
I still, to this day, right? I still second guess when my arm's like hanging off the edge of the bed. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like it's still but it's not a fear. It's like it's like that a sensation from my past.
No, I
like
get
a nostalgic thing.
A foot pops out of the blanket, like that thing is so.
It's so exposed.
Right now.
It's so exposed.
This quarter-inch thick blanket's gonna really help me out.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I'd pull the blanket over my head. I was fine. Like there's no issues. Like nothing can get me. No ghosts, no sharks, no monsters. Nothing can come through the window.
My big thing when I was a little kid, and now it's just cliche, not as cool, but like zombies.
Oh yeah, okay.
Zombie movies when I was a kid really freaked me out.
Well, that's back when they were really, really visceral and good.
Yeah, but it was just like I don't know why, but as a young kid, it was real freaky. Like I think the first ones I saw were. Maybe like the
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. I don't even know if it was I definitely saw the original at some point, but I think even earlier than I saw that, I saw the remake, which was like from the early '90s.
Oh, okay.
And that freaked me out. And then even like the cheesy '80s Return of the Living Dead ones. I remember seeing those very young.
Yes.
I think the Return of the Living Dead 2 I saw when I was a little kid, and it freaked me out.
Wasn't Night of the Living Dead kind of satirical, like where it had like some really goofy? Dark humor in it.
No, Return of the Living Dead.
Was that Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah, those were almost like half parody.
Yeah, right.
But
okay.
The night and dawn and day were all very serious and almost had like political and like social overtones to them because George Romero was heavy into that.
I was going to say that I think those movies more than anything were commenting on society.
Yeah.
More than anything else, it was kind of like looking through the mirror and a kind of a skewed look.
Like Dawn of the Dead was heavy with it. They try to survive in a mall, and eventually they feel like they're prisoners. Like initially, it's like heaven. They're surrounded by everything they could ever buy for free, and then they start to feel trapped, and they become prisoners of their, wanting to be consumers.
It kind of shows you that they're, humans are actually much more monstrous than in some ways than what's going, the other things going on out there.
Yeah, I mean, The Walking Dead does that now too, where they're over the whole zombies being the bad guy. And now it's mostly just other humans.
Yeah, it's just dealing with. 28 Days Later did that too, where that was a really good one.
That was in a creepy way.
When they got to the compound at the end, and then everybody was trying to rape everybody.
That was freaky.
You guys remember that movie?
That's a really good movie.
That was a really good one.
Like the Danny Boyle movie.
Yeah.
But so that's a good point. So, what do you guys think is your deepest fear?
Or childhood fear that like resonated?
Yeah, I would have to say my deepest fear is probably like some type of primal animal issue, like being eaten. I would probably say it's definitely being vulnerable in a situation and being exposed, like and having an animal, kind of eat me. That would be my deepest fear. I'm not really afraid of death. I can't say that I have a massive fear of like dying. obviously it's not. It would be a bummer, I think.
Do you ever watch Grizzly Man?
Or
hear about him?
I've heard about the movie, but then that's the guy that got eaten by the bear.
Yeah, him and his kind of girlfriend.
That sucks to be the girlfriend, doesn't it?
Especially when you watch the movie.
How long were they together?
I don't know, but
hopefully like a while.
It sucks even more when you watch the movie.
Hey, come up and visit me in Alaska.
And you realize this guy
bears.
probably wasn't into girls at all, and she was just kind of like tagging along.
Jesus. That was done by Werner Herzog, wasn't it?
Yeah. But
I'll have to check that out.
They claim that they had the tapes, full audio tapes, because they play the beginning of it in the movie, but they don't play the attack. But
wait, they have like an audio recording of the attack?
Yeah, the whole thing. But apparently, I think they show footage of other people listening to it.
Yeah.
But they don't play the actual footage in the movie. And they claim that like only the cops have it or something. But someone has. It's somewhere.
That's so.
But I think they both got attacked.
If there was Faces of Death now, that would definitely make its way somehow.
But they explained it was their fault. Like they knew.
They were pushing
after a certain time period or after a certain time of the year, the more docile bears would go into hibernation. Only the really aggressive ones would be left, and this guy knew that.
Yeah.
So this guy was kind of a nut.
He was pushing it.
Yeah, and he stayed past that time and got eaten.
Casey, what are your fears, man?
Probably being in the ocean, like at night.
God, it sends shivers down my spine like right now.
You can't see anything but ocean around you.
Do
Yeah.
you remember open water? Do you remember open water?
I didn't see that.
That was
I should not have watched
that. True story.
Yeah. Okay, so the synopsis or the premise of the movie was that two divers go out on a diving expedition with just on a vacation trip.
Yeah. And they get left behind.
They go in the water, and one of the guys, this is a spoiler, so if anybody hasn't seen it, one of the guys forgets something, and he's the dive master, the person that's deciding he's like, well, no, you can't go in the water. So he's all bummed out, and it's like this really egotistical guy, and so everybody goes in the water. So in the process of everybody going down, the guy finds another mask or something that he forgot his mask or forgot his mouthpiece or something. In the process, he finds another one. Somebody comes up and he takes theirs and he goes back down. So in the end, when everybody's coming up, the dive master's counting people, and in some way he miscounts whatever, and then they leave. So the boat leaves the people, and then just a crazy
floating,
psychosis ensues. Yeah, and that's the sharks isn't even the main. The sharks isn't even the main thing of it.
Oh, really?
It's kind of just really a sad story of how your mind will just it just sends you into I don't know. You have to see the movie, but it's more psychological than it is like a monster movie kind of thing where the sharks are But I mean that is a part of it. You just have to.
There was a story like that that happened a couple years ago. That was publicized. I think it happened in Florida, but there was one guy who was in the NFL or maybe had been in the NFL.
That was recent. That was last year. That was that last summer.
It was?
The guy from the Miami Dolphins.
There was four guys.
A dolphin was eaten by a
shark. Oh, wait.
No. The guy you're thinking of was the guy's boat breaks down and he swam some ridiculous amount of so he swam to shore and literally stumbled up on shore. He was dehydrated. He had what do they call that when you're the proteins are leaking into your I don't know. He had some kind of massive issue, but he made it, and the guy survived.
Wait, but that was I do remember that, but that's not what I.
Maybe that's not what you're talking about.
No, it's not. This was four guys.
Okay.
And they were all athletic, all college athletes, and I think the one guy was either in the NFL or had been in the NFL or something, and they were all pretty young, and they got their boat broken down or something happened out in the ocean in Florida, I think, and three of them died or whatever, and the one guy who survived wrote a book, and I know I saw it multiple times, and then even after the fact when he was promoting the book, and then there was drama with the families of the other guys because he was profiting off it and stuff. But anyway, just the story alone, I wish I remembered specifically, but stuff like that, yeah. I agree with all you guys about the ocean stuff.
Hopefully, you kick back some money to the families. That seems like really like an asshole move.
I don't remember.
You know,
but
write a book about your buddy, like the peril at sea, and then not.
I totally agree with you guys on that. It's like the with the ocean thing. As much as like I love the beach and the water, like just being out, like in the water, in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
The unknown.
At night, and you can't see anything but ocean all around you.
Yeah, just anything, just
nightmares.
Just the unknown. That and like, or like the middle, of the forest, like in the middle of nowhere, like that's also a fear. Not something I have nightmares about or anything like that, but just stuff that is fearsome. Like the stuff that like makes you uncomfortable. Like other people can go out and camp in the middle of the woods, like just hike for like days, and it's like
I'm not really fearful of the woods. I think because I'm more comfortable on land. I think it's getting out into the ocean where I feel like vulnerable.
Well, yeah. But it's still like the unknown. It's like there could be a bear that comes around the corner, or snakes or something, or I mean, obviously, everyone handles it differently. But to go off of what Bobby said about like your leg hanging off the bed. This is like something that's dragged on from childhood.
Somebody actually grabbed his leg.
No. But like having that feeling that when you're like walking to your bed, when you're going to bed, it's still
you gotta hustle up.
Shit still happens to me because you feel like someone's gonna grab your leg underneath the bed.
You gotta jump in real quick.
I'll admit it. In my mature age here, shit still happens. It's weird. It's so weird. Like
you still have those thoughts running through your brain.
Yeah, but I'm not like scared. Like but it's like from. It's just like the pattern of whatever from childhood. It's crazy.
I think that's also too is your primal kind of self that whatever that is, that's like an innate thing, because the dark is kind of, I mean, most people would probably say that they're much more skeptical of their surroundings in the dark because they can't see what's around the corner. They can't, it's the unknown. That unknown, we're supposed to be fearful of that unknown because that's a primal survival mechanism, right? I mean, we're supposed to our attention, our senses are all kicking in in a higher gear when you're in the dark and when you're, in those situations. And we live in a world now where we've probably seen so many situations and movies and whatever. Yeah. That stuff
in the news.
It floods back into your brain. You can't help that. I mean, it's just your mind's just recalling all that stuff. At the same time.
I agree with you on the animal thing too, because animals are unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like and even with, like you said, with dogs and stuff. Yeah. I'm not good with dogs at all. Like no. I didn't grow up with any, so like I'm still like to this day. It's like. I
used to be more fearful. Now I'm better, but you still have. It's almost more a matter of trusting the owners and whether or not they were responsible enough to train them. Or
I know a lot of people aren't.
I was taking a walk, last week, and someone just like a yappy little dog in their yard, but it was the kind that just runs and jumps on your leg. And I'm walking on the sidewalk, and its leash was tied to a stake in the yard.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like a short enough distance. The leash wasn't short enough to where it wouldn't hit the sidewalk. Like it was able to get onto it and like jump on anyone that walked through. I'm like, why didn't you make it just 4 feet shorter? Yeah, so that the dog stops the yard and like I don't have to like kick a dog off me.
That is strange.
And I almost wanted to yell at the owner. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
I think a lot of times when those situations happen, it is owner neglect.
Because if I had a little kid with me and that happened, like I would have spazzed out.
Are you guys animal owners? You guys own?
I have, but I don't now. I mean, I've had a dog when I was a kid.
But you have it now.
No, I don't now.
Any interest with with having your kids around, or is that like just too much?
No,
I'm just curious because it seems like
I like dogs.
Pets are so integrated in our culture here, and just for me, I'm kind of like.
You're not worried about it.
No, I mean I have no. When people ask, do you like dogs? Not to make this about me, but it's just interesting because. It seems like everyone has dogs or cats or whatever, but it seems like it makes people more, people are always like complaining about the pets, or you go to their house and they're like saying, yelling at them like a child.
Right.
It's like, I don't see how that would be enjoyable, but I guess people have the part of it where it is enjoyable that makes up for it.
There's a companion element that can't be denied. I mean, there's, I had a dog and you can't deny the affection and the companionship that you have. I mean, especially if they're trained and they're good. as far as for us, it's just a lot to handle. I mean, like pets are a big responsibility, and you
time, financial too. People spend a ton of money,
and you just have to be able to give them the time that they need. Take them for walks, go run with them. I mean, like, those kind of things you have to. My lifestyle is just very hectic, so I can't really. We don't have the time right now for an animal. So instead of bringing an animal into the situation and then, just being upset because the animal's just acting out of, like, they have energy when they're little, they want to chew on things. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Right.
So you can't get upset if you can't give it what it needs. I mean, that's kind of your own.
Oh, of course. And integrating them with the children and stuff like that, too.
I think that's good. I think, it's important to have the kids be comfortable around animals, because they are going to see that in their life. I mean, they're going to come in situations where, people have animals. So you want to know that how to respect animals and how to treat them. But also, you have to have that in the back of your mind that animals are animals. And at any moment, shit could just get wild,
that's also part of what you need to do if you the time that you would need to put in towards having an animal. And that,
you have to train that animal.
Right.
I mean, animals don't come out. Puppies just don't grow up to be good dogs.
No, I understand.
Train them,
I understand.
And like you said, that's the time. Was that a little dog?
You guys have?
Maybe.
You have any?
You used to have cat.
My roommate has a cat.
Yeah, I've seen the cat running around your place. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I hate that cat.
I forget.
It's outside tonight.
We started incorporating.
I think some cats are evil.
Squirt bottle discipline.
Yeah. How does that work out?
Good. It really hates water. So.
Most people have spray. You have like a super soaker, and you're just like.
It's not that bad.
And blast it.
I was going to ask before when you guys were talking about Jaws and movies or whatever. I was going to ask back then, what was the first movie? Do you remember what the first movie was that you saw in an actual theater?
Ooh, jeez.
Well, I'll never forget.
You know for sure.
I know for sure.
I think
my
Caligula.
You mean scary or just movie?
No, any movie period.
E.T., I think it was.
E.T.
That was mine too.
Oh,
was
really?
that it was?
That was mine.
Maybe they're in the same theater.
I didn't really.
Maybe we didn't go
to the movies much when I was a kid, so I would maybe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is what I can remember, but I don't know.
I think mine was E.T., but I did see Turtles.
Wait, how the hell?
Yeah. I don't know.
What are you gonna say? How the hell?
No, you must have been young if you.
Maybe they re-release those movies every once in a while though too.
Yeah, I think they re-released E.T.
It's like 82, 83 maybe.
I don't know. Well, regardless,
E.T. just sticks in my brain as.
No, it's all good. It was just I was just
theater though. I can remember drive-in. I can't remember theater.
Did you guys grow up in this area?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Eric 5 over in Allentown?
Nope.
Yeah. Wait, is that where across from the prison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went there once as a kid. My mom did not want to take me.
I think I saw.
I saw Congo there.
I think I saw
Congo.
great
movie. Yeah.
I think I saw New Jack City there.
That would make sense.
You know what? I think I might have went and saw Crocodile Dundee when I was a kid.
Wow.
Do you remember the Emmaus Theater? It's still there, I think. Where we went. I think we used to go when it was like the cheap on a Wednesday because the train comes through halfway through the fucking movie.
That's
so they sold it like half price.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like halfway through the movie, you hear the train, coming down the tracks, and
That's crazy.
So it interrupts the sound or whatever, and the shit's shaking. The lights are flickering.
I don't remember.
That's a horrible place. Why would they make a movie theater right next to a?
Sure wasn't planned very well.
Obviously, yeah.
One of the things
that won't be a big deal. And then they.
Yeah, I don't remember theater that well, but I remember like drive-ins. Cause my family was big on drive-ins. I remember seeing it was like Lethal Weapon 3 and something else.
Yeah,
there's always two
back to back. Yep.
But I remember like Batman Returns and something else. And,
yeah. The first movie I took my son to see was Avengers.
That's cool.
We just came out.
The new one.
Oh, Age of Ultron.
No. He's seen many movies now, but the first Avengers.
Oh, I think
that was like what, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was like two and a half,
cool.
and we didn't make it. He got to see a little bit of it, and then. But I mean, I was like, I gotta make it something, like a cool superhero movie or something, good. So we went to the Roxy, which is a great, like family place. So if anybody hasn't seen, anybody that's local and hasn't seen a movie at the Roxy, definitely check it out. It's a really great theater, and it's supporting, more of a traditional classic.
Main Street, Northampton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and it's only $3 $3 a ticket, man.
And it has
so
that
you can't
old,
beat that.
that old style, like 1950s, 40s movie theater front. It's like I saw
it's got the curtains and everything.
I saw Inglourious Bastards there, and it was kind of extra cool because most of the movie takes place in a theater that looks a lot like
exactly whatever it was called, the Majestic or whatever, or something. I don't know. No, that was.
I don't know. It was a Majestic, but
she was like upkeeping an old theater.
Yeah,
and then there's a scene at the end,
like the Roxy, yeah,
where they lock everybody in.
I think I saw it before they changed. Like they tried to stick to the original seats for a very long time just to kind of keep it like historic, but eventually they were like, okay, we got to go. These things are awful. But I saw that movie there before they changed it, and I just had to keep because it was like rock hard seats, like zero cushion. I had to keep shifting like every. Oh, so 10 minutes.
So they had seats. They had like the wooden seats.
They weren't wooden, but they weren't comfortable. They weren't very comfortable.
Oh, okay.
Especially for a movie that's like
they have
close to
ones now.
3 hours. Yeah, they changed them a few years ago.
Did you guys see the recent report about? And maybe it's been out longer than recently, but I saw it recently about how IMAX is has different size screens in different places, and how they're advertising it. They're false advertising, essentially. I think so, and they're making people pay the same amount of money.
I think there's an IMAX screen at the theater up here, that Carmike one. But that's not as big as of an IMAX that I saw down in Philly.
Right, of course.
It's not even close.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but they were showing how there's some cities where it's like they have IMAX theaters that are in the same.
Yeah, I see ones that are huge and they wrap around a bit.
Yeah,
so I don't.
It actually wraps around the side.
I don't know what the standards are to be considered IMAX. I don't know if it's resolution or the screen shape.
Yeah, the design of this. They were showing the size of the screen. They were just the way they were comparing it. I think it was in New York or some city, and they were showing how, blocks away from each other, there's like IMAX screen here, IMAX screen here, and it's like the same price, but the one screen's like considerably smaller than the other one, and et cetera, et cetera. It seemed interesting. I don't think I've seen a movie on IMAX in a long time, but I don't go to the movies.
I never do the extra thing or the 3D.
Do you ever do 3D?
I can't stand it.
I don't like it.
I don't like having to wear goggles the whole time.
Well, I just don't really enjoy the 3D experience.
How about the 3D TVs that came out? That didn't. I don't.
Did that last?
Yeah,
Is that still out?
I haven't heard about it. I don't have.
I haven't been shopping for a TV.
I haven't had cable in years, so I don't see commercials. But I haven't heard anything really.
No, but it came out like a couple years ago. They
have the new 4K or what? You know what I'm talking about? It's like a new HD thing.
Yeah, they're getting too weird. I don't like that at all. I didn't like how they were a few years ago, where it was the high def, then with the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And it makes everything look like a PBS show, where everything looks like behind the scenes footage. Like it doesn't have that polished, finished look to it. 'Cause I remember watching what's the one that go into dreams with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Inception.
I saw Inception on. So
the depth of field is all messed up.
Yeah, my friend's TV it was super nice, and then he had it on Blu-ray. And it looked like we were watching behind-the-scenes footage. Like it's just weird.
I always think it looks like a BBC show.
Yeah, exactly. I can't explain it, but this looks like a very low-cost
documentary or something.
BBC or PBS show.
I'm with you.
But with effects, which was weirder.
I have my TV that I have. I remember when I was shopping for my TV, they were trying to upsell me on these super high def and LED or LED. LCD TV or something, but I wanted a TV that had a THX setting, so that way I could watch it grainy, warm, original film kind of setting. So I wanted a Panasonic one that had that, and
it was more forgivable.
But I remember the guy that was the sales guy was going. He's like, no, you want to get the Samsung LED. He's like, look at how crisp and clear. And I'm watching a hummingbird, in the demo.
But then when you watch movies, the makeup effects look terrible,
right?
Because everything is super, super clear. You see all the imperfections and
you see the set,
the pores in their face. It's terrible.
Yeah, can you imagine watching?
It just looks fake. It looks like you're watching a bad PBS show.
I'm with you.
I
think there has to be a little bit of grain. In the my favorite movies, I think, we're obviously come from a different era.
They lose the film look.
But there's also a warmness to old films that is much more atmospheric, where now, like you said, everything seems very fake. and
Yeah.
but we're also in an age now where everything is explosions and CG. They opt for CG over real effects, which I think is kind of.
I was excited when I saw that Transformers 4 was on Netflix. I'm like, ooh, me and Mark Wahlberg are gonna spend 3 hours together one of these nights.
Speaking of
hey Bobby, how's it going?
Hey,
speaking of TV shows,
Did you watch Black Mirror yet? Telly, get on that.
I was actually talking about that.
I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually.
That's what you've been watching?
The second season's really good.
Really?
I haven't picked up Netflix yet. I still have to do it. I was just talking about the other night with my
Casey's
family.
gonna give you his
Casey's gonna give me my password. Oh, are you?
I can.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. We'll figure out a deal.
He's got
Oh, you do? I thought there was a limit.
Apparently not.
Oh,
It's
oh well. All right. Well, we can work a little something out. No, but I will get on it. But no, I saw something that was really interesting. I know it's like played out, but it was interesting to me. And I guess it was out in November. It came out in November, but they just put it on HBO on demand. The Banksy documentary.
Yeah, I saw
Exit Through the Gift Shop.
No.
Exit Through the Gift Shop is very good.
Oh yeah.
But that's not really about Banksy. It's
Yeah,
about the other guy.
right.
Right. Banksy does Banksy does New York.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that existed.
I saw that.
Well, it's basically a user generated. It was taken from like user generated material.
Yep. As people followed him around New York City.
Yeah, for his month-long installation that was like 2013, I think.
He was selling stuff as a vendor, like selling paintings, like $50 and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
like on that street of outside the Met or whatever.
Yeah, in like Central Park or whatever, where there's like all these vendors. That was like one of the most. That was.
Can you imagine?
That was the one. Yeah.
I would have. I would have.
And there was people like not haggling, but like making deals. So like 2 for like. 50 buy one get one 50% off or whatever, and like the guy they showed the time, like the guy was sitting there for like hours before anyone bought anything. Meanwhile, they said at the end, or not at the end, but like after that portion of showing it, because they were going like day by day.
There was one guy that bought a bunch of them though.
But they didn't know. Yeah, he was like from Chicago.
A real Banksy doesn't look any different than a fake Banksy. It's so minimal.
Yeah, I mean
he was from Chicago. And this kid, and he just wanted some things for his apartment, and he bought like 3 or 4. But like there was like at least 20 things at the table.
He's like 100.
And they said that they were valued. They said that they were valued at like $250,000.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa!
Like after the fact.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was a really cool documentary. I know a lot of people like, there's split feelings on Banksy.
I still like him a lot.
But it's dope. I mean, that documentary. I just watched it last night. It was freaking dope because I saw it came on. I saw it was new and on demand. Like,
I would want to know what the split. Like, what would be the viewpoint of the people that don't like Banksy? I mean, is it
a sellout?
Really?
That's what they're saying in the thing. They're like street artists saying that he's selling out, and that because there was portions in there, which I'm sure you guys saw if you were following it when it actually was happening, like I'm sure most of us were, a couple years ago. People were going and like tagging over the piece. Like there'd be like people there looking at it.
Yeah, but
I would call Shepard Fairey a sellout way before I would call.
Didn't you do the Obama?
I mean, Banksy is still, anonymous for the, pretty much. And how much work has he just given away?
I would say that I don't think he's a sellout because he hasn't changed the trajectory.
Well, you guys aren't street artists, though. I'm saying from
but I'm saying from a perspective of an artist.
Right.
I would consider a sellout somebody who follows the money.
Yeah.
He doesn't follow the money. The money happens to follow him.
Right.
That's not his fault.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And he can't control that.
He can't control it.
I only said that. I said sellout because that's the opposition of people who are street artists, people who are graffiti artists.
They're pissed that they're broke.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely jealousy involved with that.
That's fine. I'm just explaining what I saw in the documentary, Bobby. That's all. I mean,
Tell you, I'm not challenging your opinion.
No, it's not. It's not my opinion. I don't have an opinion. I think it's dope as shit.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, in one of the last days of his 30-day thing, I suggested, like I said, it's called Banksy Does New York, and it's on. I'm sure it's online too, but it's on HBO on demand right now.
I saw it on HBO. It was really good.
Yeah, but on one of the last days, somebody in his crew, because I mean, when you're doing something like that, like as for 30 days in New York City, he had a huge team. Somebody went into like this place called Housing Works, which is like a thrift shop, and they like help raise money for the homeless or whatever. Went in there, bought a painting, and then it was returned as like a donation, like later that day or something like that. And it was basically like a landscape thing with like a pond and mountains and stuff. And he added like Hitler on a bench.
Yeah, I like when he does that kind of stuff.
So this was hanging in the window of this store, and they basically tipped off the people working there saying, "Look, you have that painting that was returned or that was brought in, told them, it's part of Banksy's thing." And by then, everyone obviously in the city knew about it.
Yeah.
Hang it in the window. Whatever money that you generate from it, put towards your cause. And like they saw, the manager of the store or whatever, like was talking and saying like, this is like, incredible. But yeah, I mean, just the whole thing, the way that it unfolded was amazing. But anyway,
I think part of Banksy's deals with his, when he has shows and things, he's kind of pointing a finger at all the people at the show.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
they're part of the exhibit.
People exactly. They're more the installation than really the installation itself.
That's kind of what the exit through the gift shop was about. Kind of explaining that the art world is a joke and it's like a parody of itself.
Right. And that's his whole thing.
Yeah. Not to get too not personal. It's not personal, but as far as the art world being a joke, I've talked to artists.
Yeah.
Who are like, I don't know how I feel about art shows anymore, art openings or gallery openings, because it's more of like, the place to be, seen and be seen.
I think it's always been like that.
It's always been like that. No, I understand that it's always been like that. But from an artist perspective, it's like, do you want to have your stuff in that type of atmosphere, or do you want to try to sell things, do more the online approach?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Now with the internet,
it's so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Representing yourself is a viable option now, where years, 20 years ago, that wasn't really a route. You'd have to have art manager or gallery representation to be seen. Right. Now you can generate your own buzz, be as creative as you want to be, and create your own.
Right. If you have a following, you can do your own things. You can host your own shows and get way more people to come out and actually new people or people that are new to the scene. I mean, if you go to any art openings around here, it's the same people over and over again.
Well, and also too, there's an element of actually dealing with the people that are the makers and not dealing with the people that are selling and capitalizing on artists.
You got to get 50% to someone that feels the need to tell you. Their opinion on your shit, and like, dude, you're just a space where I can sell shit.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not to say that all gallery owners are kind of shady, but I mean, who hasn't dealt with that? In the art world, there's definitely people out there. Just like there's great artists and bad artists, there's great gallery owners and bad gallery owners.
You have to deal with enough egos in the art world.
But
I don't need to deal with the ego of someone whose space I just want to be in.
So
and also too, it's not always beneficial.
No, I mean really, it's not, because you have to give a huge chunk of your money to someone, then you have to deal with all these extra variables and elements that are a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
it's so much easier just to do it online. Or
in a lot of ways, it's a lot more cost effective.
And like
way more cost
Instagram. I mean, you guys have Instagram that you can get your stuff out on your images and whatever else, and promote yourselves and hashtag and everything else.
And also, here's another thing that I really like to do. I think fans of the art generally like to be involved with the art.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is not they're not going to be part of the art making process, but you can bring them into the art making process by putting out promotional videos, putting out in progress shots, like things like that. I like to do because
and making it personal. I've been trying to do that a little bit more too. I think we even discussed it a bit.
It's really just a way for people to kind of take a little bit more ownership of the ideas that they already maybe like. Somebody that's making artwork that somebody enjoys. If you involve them,
you validate. Not that you have to. Not as the artist that you feel like you have to validate it, but it's more like the validation of including the person who's potentially purchasing.
Yeah, or even just somebody that supports you in, like, I have a lot of people that haven't bought art from me.
Right.
I mean, I have a lot of fans, but but not all of them have bought art. But those people are just as important because they're advocates for you. You know, when they talk to somebody else, they're telling him, "Oh, hey, about this artist that I know." If art comes up, they're somebody that's your champion. Those people are really important too.
They retell your story.
Absolutely, and they're the ones that really are spreading out. Like that's where it starts to spread. You know, your footprint, I guess. You know, as an artist.
And it's not. Yeah, I think different artists deal with that differently. You know, I think me and you are much more willing to engage the audience and fans, whereas some artists may be more introverts, where they almost like probably having a gallery or some agent to be kind of a middleman and deal with the people so that they don't have to. Whereas we like to engage the fans. You know, we get a kick out of it. You know, we like to promote ourselves and have our own shows.
I think that's. You know, it's good to have a little bit of everything because everybody buys from different stuff. Some people need the validation of a gallery to walk in and have a storefront and somebody that's established that is kind of giving their opinion. Because some people don't have an education on art. They might want to buy art, but they don't know where to go, and they don't want to get taken up by an artist that's like, oh yeah, this piece is worth $10,000, and then they buy it. And I mean, it's just it's buying something that's high end generally. I mean, it's not like, you know, if you're buying fine art or you're buying something that's one of a kind. You want to try to have some kind of education. I think gallery gives people a place where they can feel a little bit more comfortable and they feel a little bit more like a consumer versus buying right from the maker, which is a little bit intimidating in some situations. You know what I mean? Because you know, if somebody came in and talked to me, I mean, you guys know me, I'm very high energy. I'm talking about my ideas. I could talk for hours about my concepts. Some people maybe don't want that. Maybe they don't want to be bombarded with, you know, the story of my life that's rolled into the artwork. They might just want to see something, enjoy it, and then, you know, purchase that. One thing that I will say
but that's also what the internet's for now.
Well, exactly. One thing that I will say is the advent of the internet as a marketing tool and a marketplace is awesome because
in general or for artists.
I can only speak for me because you know my business. Right. But it's great because it allows me to create whatever I want. Because there's a lot of pitfalls with working with galleries, and sometimes that is, hey, this is a really hot commodity. Can you make more like this? Right. So what happens is people may not, you know, artistically, they might have a vision for where they want to go, things that they want to make, but because of, you know, the outside sources and they, you know, everybody's got to eat, everybody's got to make money. You get caught up in a little bit of a you know, like a rat race type of thing, you know, or you get in that hamster wheel of like, oh, these are really selling, they're really hot, and they're popular, but it kind of, in some ways, it compromises your artistic vision if that's not the route you want to go. Does that make sense? Of course. Some people might want to go that route, and that's their art form, and that's completely fine. It's valid.
I think it's very much like galleries are not as strongly, but certainly a little bit going in the way of like video stores and music stores, where the only ones that are capable of sticking around are the ones that are doing things very differently. They're
niche.
They're adjusting themselves to what the market is now, where they realize that people can see this shit from their computer. They don't have to come in if it's not going to be that engaging in the first place.
They have a back room, like the old 48-hour video where you walk around like the creeper, and
if you're just,
they got all the erotica art
walls
in the back.
with, you know, plain walls with art on the wall, like you're going to have to do a little bit more.
I wasn't downplaying galleries. I mean, I would say, you know, go to them all the time to support all the artists that we know and everything else.
But what you made is a good point. I mean, there's a lot of people that are, you know, like the street art is 100% in reaction to that world. I mean, that's what street art is.
And the weird thing is it very much fueled the art world. Because, I mean, it was...
Now everybody's doing street art stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of like...
installations and what have you.
It was kind of meh, and then street art came around and like reinvigorated the whole scene. And
I think Banksy's a very, very important artist for our time.
That's what's weird is, you know, I think the only people that would ever critique Banksy in a negative way are either just jealous other street artists or stuffy, more old school.
Yeah, because people that can't get involved with it. Like, well, you got to understand that there's a lot of people out there in the art world that are, you know, whether they're involved with galleries or critics or whatever, they want to be able to take ownership of things. They want to be on the forefront, and Banksy doesn't allow people to get their hands in it. He doesn't allow people to take any ownership of what he's doing. He moves forward, and then people can capitalize on it later. But that makes a lot of people uneasy because he's got complete control. Right. And I mean, as an artist, I think, and that's what I That's I'm not trying to be Banksy.
It's the fact that he has a pretty spotless track record. People like to hate on that.
Well,
too.
right, of course.
I mean, it's like there's people that hate Tarantino, but he has a fucking excellent track record. There's not a single movie of his that I would say is bad. Yet people hate on him almost just because I don't know if it's just jealousy or
I think it's jealousy.
Or this. They see everyone liking something. We're like, well, I'm going to be the guy that's different and doesn't like it. And
there's those trolls out there too.
That's anything. But I mean, that goes back to basically just answering what you asked about why there'd be detractors. When I said that there was people who feel both ways about him. I was just giving my what they what was said. But going back to what you said about how the audience for that installation, that month-long installation, the audience was essentially, the installation.
Right.
I mean, you see these people like chasing. Some of them were like moving exhibits. The one that was phenomenal was a truck with the back like a trailer that would carry animals. And it had stuffed animals with the heads moving around, and like there was like sounds coming out like of animals crying.
Right.
And it was going, and it had like on the side like like on the doors like meat market or something and they were going and around to different parts of the city or in one area of the city like parking by like big meat markets and stuff like that. Yeah. And so people who are like hardcore following his daily exhibits. Yeah. People were like falling all around.
They were tracking it. They had a website.
Somebody tried to. Somebody actually tried to put a tracker on one of the moving things because there was a couple ones that were moving, like on a truck or whatever around town. There's one where he put like I think it was like one of the first couple days. He had a like kind of like a moving van sized truck, and inside it the door was open, and inside it was like a scenery with like a waterfall and like a rainbow and like all this like plants and stuff. So that was like moving around a couple of places. But regardless, the whole thing with like the audience being part of the installation, it's like a human, part of like a human test too, in a sense. He was doing. Yeah.
And you get to see the fanaticism and the and all that stuff. Didn't somebody like whitewash it and then he came back and he did something again on the next day?
There was a couple different ones that interesting things happened. There was like it was cool things that happened with like each of the installations. Like you saw people like cutting doors off, right? Like metal doors, so that they could go sell the piece. Oh yeah. There was like, and
then there's some people that are just like this is graffiti.
Yeah, it's just like,
and they just whitewash over it.
Whitewash over it. Yeah. The one
I think we as Americans, I think we have a very interesting opinion about graffiti and art on public spaces, where that's a good topic. People get crazy about that. Like they get super. It's like if you don't have a permit, it's illegal. But it could be in a lot of ways the same.
There was a developer.
What's wrong with art?
I see both sides of it. I do, especially depending on the style of it. If it's just straight up graffiti lettering on something, then I think that does apply to like the broken window effect, where now there's hood looking graffiti somewhere, the area around it will just naturally deteriorate.
Right, it starts to
be what even if you have a nice tag, that some asshole's gonna walk by and be like, oh cool, I can just put a Nazi sign here or draw a big dick and so that is gonna happen. I do understand when people get pissed at those situations, but then if it's nice and a really nice piece that's more artistic and something that would be on canvas and look just as good, then people do feel a little differently about that. It all depends on the subject matter and just how it's done. And but I understand both sides. I would never say that that's okay. Like just like street art graffiti always okay. I would never say that.
There's no blanket statement that covers everything.
Yeah, this is coming from someone who actually did it when I was young. I did it when I was younger, so I do understand both sides of it. And it's all about how it was done, where it was done, and the context of it,
the intent and all that other stuff.
If you actually ask if there's a great space and you ask the people who own the property, you never know what might come out of it. They might say, it's a great idea, but something that I never like pursued.
Right.
And you show them and explain to them some of these like obviously our mural system right here in Philly is like one of the best in the world, right?
Yeah.
Or at least in this country.
Well,
for sure.
I mean, they say that it has like the most murals per square footage, like of any city in the world. I don't know what the.
I have a mural in Philly, just saying.
But that being said,
mine's in Reading.
Mine's legal.
I have one in Reading, and I have one in over here at Calypso, like down the road.
Are they both legal?
They're both legal, but I got screwed in both situations.
Oh, really?
That seems the way it always happens. Artists constantly are getting screwed out of money.
I didn't get
screwed out of time. No.
No.
Well, see that?
I
there's a bright shining spot in the world.
Philly reppin'. They don't screw you.
That's it. I worked with a bank with one of them, so I kind of knew some shady shit was going to go down.
There was a developer.
I won't say the bank.
There's a developer at the end of this Banksy documentary. Not to keep harping on this Banksy documentary, but it's fitting. When they were showing 5 Points in New York with the graffiti like Mecca thing.
Yeah.
And when they were like basically whitewashing the whole building, and because they were destroying it to develop townhouses and stuff. But they were talking to like some developer just of some other building. Maybe they were even showing the stuff there, but he was saying how like murals and like stuff like that really added value to his property, and he's like totally for it. I forget the exact context, but that being said, there's an artist, local artist, Joey Gorniak, who I know you've met before. I took you to his art show that was at the fish market, and I don't know if you met him before, but he was part of a community action project in Allentown where they were restoring a vacant lot. So basically, they were restoring the vacant lot into making like a. He wasn't responsible for the park aspect of it, but it's like a pocket park in an abandoned space where they put in trees and grass and everything. But part of it was creating a mural on this like huge wall. So what they did, essentially what they did was, and I'm going to post this online when we get this up next week. They basically outlined the mural and did like a paint by numbers type of thing, so that the community could be involved. And he's inviting people out to come watch them develop it, and he just basically posted this the other day. But really cool. Yeah, really cool. Type of community involvement, and I know people have been trying to do that around here like in the past bunch of years, but it never really got off the ground. But regardless, yeah. I think
if it's done like Bobby was saying, kind of in a way that's respectful, of the surrounding area, I think people get behind it.
Yeah.
And I think, especially when they know they don't have to pay for it.
Well, and like I said, if you're not like ignorant about it and you work with the building owner, I mean, I know that takes away the guerrilla aspect of it, but at the same time, like,
I think there has to be a healthy balance of both. I mean, art is supposed to be a little bit on the edge, and art should never really have any constraints on it, in my opinion. So when you start to involve guidelines and rules and zoning and what all this other bullshit, you start to take away from the creative element, and you start to box it in.
So you're saying that you want someone to go put respectful art, whatever, on the side of a building, and then have it removed like a day later?
No.
Shock aspect?
No, I'm not saying that it should be that way or it should be any other way. I'm just saying that I understand artists that take it upon themselves to do graffiti art that is illegal because they're exercising what art is about.
Right. Oh, of course.
So without that, you don't have, you just have people painting pretty pictures on
and landscapes and stuff.
Because here's my experience. And this, Bobby, you've done murals, so you may have some experience with this too. Anytime that I've done a mural, it's like here's our idea or general idea. Can you come up with a design? You come up with a design. The design gets passed in front of a board of people that are the decision makers, and then they have their things they want to correct and change and fix. Well, you might as well just hire a house painter to paint whatever it is that you want.
Right.
Majority of people are not really educated, in my opinion, on what art is and what it entails. I think art is about the creation. It's about the untethered, the restraints come off, and you're able to think creatively and create something new, or maybe even just whatever it is, whatever you want to make. But when you start having other people tell you what to do, you're just doing a commission. You're just basically making what they want.
Like a bad commission. I've been pretty lucky so far, and I haven't had to deal with that.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I mean, everyone that I've done murals for, or those kind of gigs for, they were always very cool, and often younger business owners.
Well, that's I think part of it too.
That certainly played a part, and no, they're always very awesome.
Because nothing's more soul crushing than having a board of people, tell you how they sandwich it. They're like, "Oh, this is so great, but if you could just," and then they basically rip it to shreds and then tell you. But I think that it would be excellent. If you make those changes, it'll be great.
None of us would want to deal with that.
Early on, I definitely had commissions like that where. I wasn't able to say no yet, and anyone could fucking do this. The amount of stipulations you have for this commission, anyone could do this.
You almost want to ask, why did you hire me? Why didn't you just hire a yes man that would just draft your design?
I did a few of those when I was getting started, and now whenever that comes, I just say no. I don't think you found the right person.
Right.
Because then it becomes work. I'm like, you're turning this into work. This is the opposite of why I wanted to do this. What's
worse too is that you have people that are not really creative at all, and then they have so many opinions.
Right.
And a lot of times, in my experience, sometimes you might be halfway through a project, and then you've got all these people just, if you could just change,
that would fucking piss me off.
It's like, well, what? It's not as easy. I love how art is painted. It's like made as this very easy thing because you're talented, you could do that.
At the same time,
it's not that way.
The reason I said it the way I said it was because if you do get the approval and it's easy to, it's manageable with the people that you're working with, or the person says, hey, I have this building. I've seen art being done on buildings in other cities or whatever.
Yeah.
Come up with something cool for me, and it's an easy type of thing. Like with Bobby said, he's dealt with.
That's great.
You're going to know that the owner is not going to say, "Get this off my building." But
all you want as the artist is the respect of the person that's commissioning the work to go. I respect what your vision.
Right.
I'm going to let you run with it.
Right. No, I'm just saying though. I mean, if you want to say, the more real thing where I don't have to speak to any authority. Not saying that you're saying this.
No, I am saying that. I mean,
right, but I'm saying not want to deal with authority and putting whatever I want up on the wall, and I'm not going to talk to the business owner.
Well, I don't think it comes from that kind of posturing situation. Like,
not you personally.
Yeah,
I'm just saying the mind of people who want to do it.
I think often that's the stereotype. It's like, the artist is this brash, egotistical person that's like, I just want to make what I want to make, and I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. But that's not real. I don't think that's really the case. I just don't want somebody else who's not involved with my art telling me what to do or how to do it.
Of course.
I'm a professional. I'm one of. I can do something that other people can't do. I expect you to respect me like you would somebody that's building a building. Like, you're not going to have somebody that's like the owner of the property coming up and being like, I need to check this code, this to code.
Right.
You're gonna trust the building inspector, right? Because the building inspector is a professional,
right?
So if I'm the artist and you hire me to do the job, don't question my creativity. You should have done your homework beforehand and said, is this the guy we want to work with?
Right.
Don't tell me after the fact, well, I love your design, but could you just add this, take away this? And it's like, no, because the reality is you're fucking my design up.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to balance the line between the guerrilla stuff where it's like just go do whatever you want.
I was saying I understand what that is because that's a reaction to what art is. Art has to be untethered. It cannot be restrained because once it's restrained, it's not really, in my opinion, it's not a fully capable as art. Does that make sense?
Right.
It becomes a little bit less powerful because it's been watered down a bit. Other people have their hands involved in it, and this is a constant thing. There's a lot of people in the world that just want to get their hands involved in what other people are doing, and all they want to do is control somebody else because this is the weird thing that they want to do in their life. You know, I mean, I don't understand it. I don't care what's going on. If in somebody else's life, I wish them luck. I hope they do well. I can't understand somebody that wishes bad against somebody or tries to control the shit that they're doing. I'll never understand that. Morally, you know, I don't get owners. I don't understand that, you know. And this is, well, that's a much broader, bigger concept. But in art, part of why I make art the way I do and the stuff that I make is in reaction to the immoral things that I see in the world, even if they're small things. I think I like to try to talk about it because art is, there's no right or wrong. I can make whatever I want, and nobody tells me. Of course. You know, and thankfully, we've had the artists that have come before us that have pushed that through. You know, we're at a point now where I'm lucky enough that I can make what I can make right now. You know what I mean? Nobody's knocking on my door and saying, "Hey, you can't make anti-policy work or politics or whatever." You know what I mean? You can do whatever you want,
except when they want you to cover the nipples. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the censorship is just, you're always going to deal with censorship, but you just got to handle it, I think, tastefully.
Wait, has that been a thing?
What? Censorship?
Have you had to cover up nipples?
Yeah.
Have you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've had an exhibit, here that I had to cover it up. I mean, you know, and I understand where they're coming from because, you know, when you're in a public space, you have to, and you look where the money's coming from and what kind of revenue they're bringing in. A lot of it comes from school groups, different things like that they have come through. So I understand from that aspect,
yeah, youth groups,
youth aspects, but I don't understand it when it comes to the fact that you present yourself as an art place, you know. And I'm sure it's everywhere. I'm sure that happens all over the place, you know. I don't know. I don't know how it goes. I respect those things. I don't agree with them. You know, I respect what people's wishes are because they're not mine, so I don't have to agree with them. So, you know, I dealt with it my way, you know, by putting up a little bit of an informational about how I think censorship it changes things and it creates a problem, and in a way it creates deviancy and it creates like deviant behavior. Like all the censor things that I had on them were all peeled away, so everybody was
peeking.
You know, it would be a funny sculpture just to do one of like a life-size naked lady covered in nipples,
just nipples
head
everywhere.
to toe nipples, but only cover the ones. Just the two.
The
two ones that would normally be there,
and like
but then just let the rest go.
Like on the eyes,
like
a boob nose,
covered in nipples,
like a smile with like boob teeth.
That's
like dope, dude.
Total just tits everywhere.
That sounds like a Greg.
We need to get our hands on that.
There's a sculptor guy.
You know, Greg. He's pretty well known. I gotta look him up. Hold on. Greg Mike. He's a visual artist and designer. He's done popular stuff. But
covered in nipples?
No, but that's his style like that. So okay. Like to make like a human
nipples.
Make like a human with like you know,
covered in dongs.
It makes all kinds of wild stuff.
Yeah, like
they're more cartoonish, you know, type of thing. Rendering.
He's popular. He's popular though. He's got 48,000 followers on Instagram. So
that's we got to figure out how do people get 48,000 followers?
Usually you're a pretty girl that posts a lot of selfies.
Promotion. It's all about promotion.
I guess, but
promotion, making connections.
48,000 people. Like, what's the number of people? There's supposedly like a number that you can only have about 100 people in your circle that you kind of know, and you know, outside of that, it just becomes noise. You know.
Oh, really?
48,000 or millions or whatever.
There's a Dunbar's number where you can that's like names though.
Is
you
that
can
names?
only remember I think like 150 names.
They don't
in your
know
brain.
me.
And
I can remember like 20.
And you don't have a choice as to which ones you remember and which ones you just toss out immediately. And I'm really bad with that.
I'm bad with the names.
Maybe we can. We're speaking about murals. Maybe
we should have Max on.
Yeah,
he's doing that one right across the street.
Right across the street. Yeah, maybe we can do that.
He was just in the morning call, I think.
Max is going to do our jam. We just had a jam room in our. We have like an extra bedroom in our basement that we were just using for storage, but then he's
going to hook it up.
We moved all the boxes out and put them in like the unfinished part of our basement, so now it's our jam room.
There you go.
Couches and music instruments.
I'm going to bring my djembe over.
We have our Warrior Pack project that we're working on, that we will be working on from now through the summer and into the fall. What I was saying was maybe it would be cool to maybe try to do some sort of find some sort of mural project that we could work on as the podcast group to try to raise funds somehow or something,
cool.
Or as part of our humanitarian thing.
Yeah,
maybe we can like find we can work some for next spring or summer. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be cool. That's a good idea. We'll look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, I'm just saying, since we're all like, I'm jealous that you guys do art because.
Well, you do art too.
No, well, I know I could do art because I did it all my life, but now just my past bunch of years has just been all digital stuff. But I don't make the time to do not traditional, but doing painting or doing like cool, like taking my graphics from the computer and translating them to, even putting them on wood or putting them on canvas and hanging them on a wall and seeing how they look. Well, you know what I mean? Like, or screen printing. I mean, you can screen print on wood. You can screen print on
anything, pretty
canvas, and hang stuff on the walls. I'm just saying, it would be cool to have a cool outlet where it's like, you're working on something for a reason, and I'm able to like, get my hands.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. We'll get something in the works. And we'll
you never know.
Something good together.
You never know.
Get our hands dirty.
Actually, they are working on more murals here on the south side. I think
so, yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Well, I know the Greenway, they were talking about doing some stuff like there's a lot of buildings in the back.
There's an initiative with Lehigh.
I had the hardest time finding that the other day.
What's that?
The Greenway.
How are you crazy, dude?
Isn't it just follow the railroad track?
I know. I couldn't find it. I was like, I think it was on 4th Street. I'm like, I think it's between 4th and 3rd. Or it's around here somewhere, and I couldn't find it. I was so pissed because I was walking back from social still, and I just wanted to take that trail back, but I had no idea what the fuck it was. I was frustrating because I know it wouldn't be on the map. Like I went on my phone, like there's no way it's going to be on GPS.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it has it gone through like, is it kind of stalled out, or like what's the deal with it?
I think it just stops at a certain point.
Of what?
No. I mean, I knew that they were going to put
continue
some
to
time.
Hellertown.
I guess I don't know.
Or it was, but I think it just stops.
But they didn't develop it fully,
right? We're talking
about
a local trail in our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
It's in kind of a strange spot. It's in the city.
It's just an open strip of pathway and greenway and trees and path and whatever else. But anyway, regardless.
Going back to that idea of like the people and the Instagram, the 48,000. I think that's another benefit to the current state of things, as far as the internet, because now crowdsourcing is such a big way of projects getting off the ground. And we were talking about this earlier with the with that Kung Fury thing.
Kung Fury.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know what this is, if you are a child of the '80s and you enjoy some action nonsense. You got to watch this short film. What's it like? At 40 minutes or
half an hour? Neon and
less
lasers.
Than that. It might be like a little over 30.
Yeah, it's like about 30.
So it's like 30 minutes. You got to check this out because it's probably one of the greatest. I don't know. It's like the greatest 30 minutes of action.
The movie
nonsense
Black
ever.
Dynamite, which was kind of like a parody of the 70s films, and it's definitely it's in line with that, but more of a parody of 80s movies.
Yeah,
but it's not a full movie. It's a little over 30 minutes, and
David Hasselhoff is the.
That's what I think. Black Dynamite should have been that long too, because that
it drug
the 45-minute mark. You're like, I got the joke. I don't need to see this finish.
Yeah, it's got David Hasselhoff is singing like the True Survivors, like their main.
It's like he gets his powers from he gets struck by a lightning while a cobra bites him at the same time.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, it's definitely worth watching if you like that kind of stuff.
But it brings me to the point about the crowdsourcing, in that I think that the crowdsourcing opens up the opportunity for more independent things to get off the ground and get funded, so that way there is less, censorship, less ownership. Like people don't have to release movies in the theaters anymore. Just like artists don't necessarily have to just do the gallery thing anymore. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of different opportunities.
You can see what the demand is before you even make
exactly
your
right.
Product.
You can see how many people are want to see it.
Yeah.
You know, and just by putting out investing a little bit of time to create something like a trailer or whatever it is.
Projects.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about Shenmue 3. The news of that just came out today. Which,
yeah.
That was a huge Dreamcast game, the first one, and then the sequels for Xbox. But that was probably over 10 years ago. And then, the creator just released, a little teaser video pitching the idea for a third one. And I think the goal was 2 million, and they just about met it, like just hours later.
That's awesome.
And this is a sequel to a very obscure but like critically acclaimed game that everyone liked.
Yeah.
And that's always cool to see, because now I'm like, man, what other games could they do this with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is really good to see, because
I want Jet Set Radio 3. I've been itching for that for years.
Yeah, I don't even. You guys.
You know what that is, Casey? You're laughing.
Don't make that.
That game is so good.
I wasn't really. I mean, I was kind of behind the times with video games when I was younger.
There was 2 Jet Set Radio games. One was for Dreamcast, one was for Xbox. But it involved rollerblade gangs in the future.
Whoa!
They could grind on anything, and they just did graffiti, and you just battled other gangs.
That sounds.
And it was all cell shaded, so it looked like you were playing a cartoon. It was amazing.
That game is literally the perfect segue from the graffiti thing we were talking about
incredible.
To like the crowdsourcing. I just think it's very hopeful, and I think that it opens up the opportunities for people to like that may have gotten blackballed or shut down.
Yeah, like
in the past.
Before this was available, like when everything was more heavily corporate, and you had to get approved by people that had no taste or no intelligence on the subject itself.
All we can hope for is that this kind of permeates other things. You know what I mean? Like permeates, into other parts of our lives, so that it's not just the same structure over and over again. You know, like beating this dead horse.
What's going to happen is weird, obscure cult movies are going to get sequels or shows that got canceled are going to come back. And
now that, that's happening, like with Arrested Development's coming back. I don't know if they crowdsourced it or not, but I know.
But it was due to
Netflix,
it was due to demand that went viral. I mean, without the internet, they wouldn't have been able to know that there was that much demand. And it's a cool era for launching awesome projects where you know that there's a fan base already.
Yeah, I think that it makes me hopeful also too for things like politics, where people can maybe crowdsource a candidate that they feel strongly about, but I just don't know people are at least in the U.S. are invested in politics as much as they are in other things.
They definitely are.
Entertainment seems to be where people put a lot of their energy and time.
I feel like our generation would be willing to do that, because we know the dangers of other people, getting money and sponsored, and corporate sponsors and stuff.
Well, I think we're starting to be awoken to the corruption that exists, and then slowly.
But now we know that we can combat that. So I do see that as something that is possible.
I think it is, and it's just hopeful. I just look at those certain things, because we were talking about
they put limitations on donations, but then they find weird loopholes where they can just get as much as they want.
Well, I don't think there's any limitations anymore. I think they lifted the.
Oh, really?
In the corporate thing, they lifted the donations.
Yeah.
But this kind of goes right into the other thing we were talking about. That what was it called? The HoloLens. What was the Microsoft?
Microsoft unveiled at E3, which is going on right now, the Electronic Entertainment Expo. It's always a huge event every year for video games and
new technology.
But Microsoft unveiled this HoloLens where you look through the lens and it kind of projects an image onto everything in front of you.
Right.
It fits on your head almost like an Oculus Rift, but it's more like glasses. And they've been messing with that technology for a while now, where you look at something and that the lens projects, or not projects, but it forms around the actual surface that's in front of you. And that's,
it becomes like a three-dimensional environment.
It's a much more improved version of that, where it builds the structures around actual real structures around you, and then you can interact with it.
The demo that they had.
For that Minecraft.
Yeah, it was for Minecraft.
Yeah, it was for Minecraft.
It basically said
it's like playing with Legos that aren't there. Essentially, it's
like
awesome.
a big Lego set on a table.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
But you can interact with it too, and other people were walking around with it. It's pretty cool. It's definitely a leap. I'm still more excited for Oculus
Rift.
But it's still pretty awesome.
I guess I just want to know, or I figured I'd bring this up to you guys. Right. But like, we talked about it briefly. I started talking about, but before we started taping. But it seems as though a lot of the technologies that come out are being applied to gaming and entertainment.
I got an answer for you.
Okay, all right. So
money. It's just all money.
You think that's what it is? It's just follow the money. But why aren't? And maybe they are. We just don't know. But why aren't these things being applied to basic necessity type things? Like why aren't we applying this kind of technology to our basic
you really don't hear
world?
Through like medical breakthroughs.
For medicine, military,
or even just like
you'll hear
road
about military
building.
Stuff for sure. But
like what about
not medicine?
What about just like infrastructure type things? I don't know how this would apply per se, but I know that there's definitely stuff that you could probably apply to this. Why aren't we applying these technologies? And it just seems frustrating because we could make our lives a lot easier and really minimize this
I think
world.
It's more
where
the technology
work.
isn't being developed for those things. So they almost have, if they would want to, they'd almost have to tweak it. Because the money is in entertainment. So when this new technology comes out, it's being developed for the entertainment. I'm sure it can be, twisted around to be used for other applications,
like simulators, stuff like that, for helping pilots, people learn how to fly military machines, stuff like that. That there's got to be stuff like that already out there.
Of course there is.
But it's just we don't know it because, like Bobby said, it's the entertainment.
Yeah,
that's the bread and butter for the entertainment.
Maybe
world.
The entertainment is the first step towards that anyway. We have all these drone pilots now. They pretty much grew up playing video games.
Yeah. How
much of that was intended? We're like, what's that shitty movie from the 80s where the guy beats a high score in a spaceship game and then he actually gets recruited
Starfighter? The Last Starfighter?
Last Starfighter, yeah. He gets the high score in a old 80s video game.
And then the guy comes down and recruits him?
Yeah, that's... Who knows how much of actual modern gaming uses that, where the military monitors like Microsoft's high rank scores and PlayStation scores, like, ooh, this guy's good at flying shit and bombing shit.
Hey, who knows? I'm sure it's like that War Games movie.
Some nerd hits a high score and then he gets a knock on the door from some guy in a black suit.
Yeah. Recruiting him.
It's like anything else, though. If stuff's being developed, sure, stuff is being developed. All this advanced stuff. We don't know about it. There's no reason for us to know about it. They're not going to tell us about it.
Right. This brings me to a kind of a really obscure and very conspiratorial piece of questioning. That this is where we go on.
Is this where we play the X-Files theme?
No, not X-Files, but
well, it's conspiracy stuff.
Conspiracy. So
I'll hit this one.
By the way, they started filming that. By the way,
I saw the pictures of it.
I'm pumped.
What's that?
The X-Files.
Oh, right.
I think it's like six episodes.
6 or 8 episodes. Yeah.
So I recently saw an article by a guy that was a pilot that had actually flown two of the 4 planes that were crashed in the 9/11. The 9/11 bombing. He wasn't the pilot at the time, but he had flown both of those planes.
Those models, yeah.
Yeah, the models. And he has recently come out and said, he's like a retired military guy, ex-commercial pilot, and he has said that he gave a lot of jargon, basically pilot jargon about how it's impossible for those things to have happened the way the report said that they had happened.
In what way?
He was saying that there's no way that a hijacked pilot who would have trained on a certain type of plane would have been able to number one operate it,
okay.
And number 2, there's no way that the planes could operate at the they couldn't operate the speed and the maneuvers that they supposedly were supposed to have done based on the radar and everything that they tracked. I don't know. I guess they the way that it made a turn and at what speed and crashed into stuff. Okay, so it made me thinking about these other technologies that exist, right? And I thought, well, what if
he had a flight sim from Windows 98?
No, that's not not quite. We've all seen movies, right? How many times do you watch a movie that has CG stuff that you can't really when you first watch it, you can't decipher if it's real or not. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? We're at a point now where technology in the entertainment industry.
I'm rarely tricked.
Right, but
so link it so that we are saying.
Okay, what I'm saying is, suppose there's a way, or that we were manipulated in a way to watching footage that had been manipulated.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's very possible.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Why the hell not? People will believe anything that's put on TV.
Right, and how quickly that stuff was used in the news media. It's like, so it just made me think. I was like,
dude,
maybe my naivety.
Even if the government came out and be like, okay, yeah, we did everything. What are you gonna?
What are you gonna do?
Right? Nothing would happen.
All the conspiracies.
Just drop the mic sideways.
Yeah, all the conspiracies that come out of things that happen. Even the thing with what was it called where the kids all got shot up like a couple years ago in the school?
Oh, the
Newtown, something. Sandy Hook was it? Whatever it was. And there was conspiracy things about how it was all staged. The whole thing was, actors and all this and that, and like the people that were talking, like the people who were, in like the families of the people were all actors.
Yeah, they call them some kind of actor.
But I'm saying I saw all the conspiracies regarding that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of 9/11, I just saw something a couple days ago. I don't know how I came across it, where they showed two firefighters who were like sitting after fighting in the buildings,
all covered in dust and
yeah.
I think I might have seen that.
Yeah, and they were talking about how there was bombs that went off in the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
So, why would have...
They were like, no, they were going off in the ground floor.
Yeah, why would they... While they were waiting to go up, they were, in the docking area, and all of a sudden the roof just started collapsing on them from explosions. Which after the thing... This was, after the plane...
This was Building 7, right? That was Building 7.
I don't remember exactly.
It was, way after the first two came down, and then Building 7 came down.
I don't remember. Regardless...
I did see that.
But it was a point where these guys were questioning, why are there things going off?
All right.
Now,
it wasn't. I guess my point wasn't to justify the fact that that it's a conspiracy. I guess my point was just that I think that I felt a little vulnerable to being naive to the fact that there is probably technology that exists that, whether it's Hollywood produced or whatever, that you can't really trust your eyes when you're watching the television anymore. Does that make sense? You could, there was a time when you could watch the news and what you're watching is really happening. Okay? Because at that point, or at least what we've had in the entertainment industry, couldn't fool you to the point where you couldn't decipher it, right? Decipher what was real and what was not real. So I think we're at a point now where technology is starting to create a dangerous environment because we all know news is bullshit. We all know that they have an agenda and they're pushing an agenda. So when you watch a news thing, how do you know it's not green screen, or that it's not a fake scenario, that just outside the camera lens is totally different, but what you're watching inside the lens has been manicured and manipulated to the fact that now they can...
It's extremely possible. You remember that movie Wag the Dog?
Yeah, with De Niro?
Like the 90s, and Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Where it was pretty much just about making up a war.
Yeah.
And that was way back then, before they even had technology.
Well, I guess
to really, or a more impressive technology.
So I felt a little vulnerable seeing the hologram thing, that and going, man, there's probably stuff that's happening.
And that was real.
We know military's always on the cusp of everything. I mean, they're the ones pushing the stuff forward usually.
Right.
And then we just usually get the scraps at the end.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But they can. I mean, a story.
DARPA has all the cool
shit. A story
shit,
can just be just be generated.
You can go deeper into it and be like, the planes that maybe the planes were real that they saw, but they weren't actually real. Maybe they were holograms. If fucking Tupac can rap on a stage,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying any plausible,
But I'm not even saying
but people saw the planes though.
But I'm just saying, maybe they did see planes, but who's to say that they weren't fucking Tupac, Bonnaroo style holograms? And
there's what I guess when
and they just happened to hit the building when the explosions were triggered.
There's so much
some deep conspiracy shit.
There's so much wild technology.
This episode
that
isn't getting approved on YouTube.
It doesn't even. I mean,
this might actually be our best episode.
You're gonna find us all dead.
I mean,
hopefully not.
In a sense, you could have any. You could have
scary shit.
They could set anything up as like a movie.
Yeah, right.
Anything.
That's what I thought. I was like,
right.
What if it's a movie?
Something simple
basically.
too, where you just even the thing with like the kids getting. I mean, God bless these kids that got bit by the shark.
Right.
We didn't see the shark.
Right.
I don't think God bless them.
Yeah, well, if they got bit by a shark, I don't think that.
No, I mean God bless them. Like God bless that this happened to them. Yeah. That's all I meant. I'm saying that could have been set on a beach somewhere where everybody that was on the beach were actors.
Yeah, these
knew what was going to happen. You know.
I looked at. I saw the picture and and it didn't have any blood on the beach. I mean, I was like, that's kind of strange.
That's a bad example on my part. I apologize because there's too many factors involved. But if you have something where you can have a controlled environment,
sharks.
No, well, we didn't see the shark.
Right.
I mean, no one saw the shark.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I'm saying the kids. You know, if a kid's not going to come out of the water with his like limb off.
Right.
I'm saying like any other thing that you see on the news. Where it can be a controlled environment that can essentially like a stage.
They can
like
create
a movie,
news, yeah.
Like a movie that will generate news that the government can say, hey, or the military, or whoever, they can say, hey, this happened or that happened or whatever.
I think it's more the media and the corporate control, because the corporations are the one capitalizing on the media's influence, right? I mean, they're the ones that are pushing agenda, brainwashing people, advertising. Right. So they're able to capitalize.
They're the ones keeping the media in business.
They're the ones that own the media. You know, I mean,
more or less. Yeah.
So what's happening is they're pushing an agenda. So the reality is that it puts you in a really vulnerable situation that you can't really trust your eyes anymore. And that was one thing that you thought you could trust. I thought, you can always trust what you're seeing. But what if there's technology now that's so integrated that you can't really trust what you're seeing? I mean, we're talking about holograms and stuff like that.
Did you see The Running Man?
Yeah. Oh,
where
for sure.
Arnold is going through, and then.
Casey has awoken.
Yeah, I guess I'm tired of hearing you guys talk about this. I'm like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. If they haven't seen The Running Man, where three guys had won the contest, right? Price, Whitfield, and Haddad, I guess, was the third guy. Then Arnold's going through the game, and he's like, wait a minute, they're all right here dead. So, like back in, what year was that? 86? Yeah. You were able to manipulate the populace back then, so... Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you think in the 60s that they could manipulate? Like, the technology was as advanced as the shitty TV we had back then. So,
but you think that we had the technology to TV, legitimately fool people's eyes?
Yeah, the TV picture back then would look like that. So people were like, "Yeah, I guess I saw it on TV." Yeah, Kennedy got shot, and they said it was the one bullet. So
they already admitted that. What's 2001: Space Odyssey? The Kubrick went and shot.
The moon landing.
Not the whole thing, but they hired him just to shoot footage to kind of supplement what they had.
So they didn't show the alien space station on the moon.
But just like
what? You guys don't know about that one?
Just the fact
let me enlighten you.
It was admitted that they hired him to shoot stuff just because they couldn't make enough of a show out of what they had.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's kind of.
But once you guys realize that is capable, what's the next
step?
on
9/11 they have extra angles that were done by Michael Bay.
I wasn't saying that they didn't have technology to fool you, but I'm saying now it's at a point where I think it's really scary that you can almost not trust anything, because the reality is that they could have Hollywood people working for the news station and just literally creating whatever they want.
And we're
I was just going to say, we all stopped watching TV. I mean, you really don't watch it anymore just because of that fact, right?
Yeah.
Because you just can't.
Well, I don't watch the news.
CNN was reporting that Baltimore thing and just looping. It was like 9 o'clock. I look outside, it's dark, but they're still showing like daylight footage of the same thing. I'm like, I can't watch this.
Do you remember the Ebola thing? Or not? Was it Ebola? What was it? Ebola was the one?
Vice just had a thing about Ebola that was pretty interesting.
Well, I remember watching some. I remember watching some news things where they were showing the Ebola patients, as they were being loaded on the plane, and then they have like a bunch of people in these hazmat suits, obviously protecting themselves against
getting sprayed off.
And then there's a guy on a radio comes running up, and he has nothing on. He's just like in a suit, and he's talking and he's holding them up, probably for the news cameras or whatever. And then he runs off the thing, and they're like, and they don't mention anything about this guy, but you're like, who's this guy? That's not obviously not, you know. And it just makes you wonder, like, is this really what's happening? Is this really a patient, or is this just a staged event? And
part of this whole thing that we're talking, that scenarios
sounds like it's like Nazi Germany.
Scenarios that we're painting. I mean, we're, like I've said multiple times before, we're at the most informed part of, you know, our existence. Easily accessible information.
How is it?
So and with video, I mean, video obviously is becoming very integrated in our social media, in our media, in our, you know, culture.
Well, you have
people believe stuff. There's more for people to believe. I mean, people can just post a video online, and you don't know if it's doctored or whatever. And not even the media, not even, you know, ABC or CNN.
Personal stuff that just fools you. Do you ever see the guy that like grabs shit and like throws it through a wall, or you know what I mean, like
David Blaine?
No, not David Blaine.
David Blaine.
David Blaine's he's probably real. Like,
no, he's throwing his cards through bottles and stuff like that.
No, this guy does video tricks, and he does like, so he'll like, I'm trying to think of an example, but he'll like, somebody will jump into a pool and he'll grab them and like it's a camera trick. You know, he's doing video editing, so he like grabs the guy in midair and like he'll throw him in a different spot and he'll land in the pool.
Never saw
like
that.
He does these magic tricks on video. I'll have to.
My favorite is Chris Angel, the goth with a lisp.
Yeah. Chris Angel, they did some wild stuff. But my point is that as long as if you can get your hand on editing software, the technology now will allow you to do a lot of crazy stuff, and that's just consumer grade. We're talking about
the $1 billion
the top
movie
of the
industry.
top, and
the technology the government and military has access to. I think the rule of thumb is that like it's 10 years advanced than what we know.
So. And you made a good point, Telly. You said that
I try.
You said that
I really try.
There's so much information now. So, you know, when you watch the news,
I always say it. I always say that, dude. That's like my number one thing that I like saying now to everybody about everything possible is that we're so informed, but it seems like the more we become informed, the more. The dumber people are getting.
But I think it's vulnerability to influence.
So absorbed by all this, by all the shit that's being fed to us, that people, you know.
So I guess I want to know
that people like aren't following the important shit. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, why is it that more people aren't woken up to the bullshit? Because if you go on the internet, right? The internet is counterculture to what's happening on mainstream news, right? I mean,
in some places,
when you go on the internet, majority of things are reporting something very different, a very different story than what's being reported on mainstream media. So how are the people not calling bullshit on the news? Like, why are we still tuning in?
No, the same companies on the news as on like the mainstream media, right?
What?
They're still reporting the same stuff. They're owned by the same companies, aren't they?
You mean online?
What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, but online is a bigger online's a bigger platform.
I just mean there's many other news channels.
Podcasts are online.
I get all my news through Fox, and I trust them with my life. So.
I would.
I don't know what you hippies are talking about.
You're going to go online and watch the same thing, aren't you?
Wear your hemp shorts.
All right.
Why would you not watch the same
Burn
thing
your
online?
sage. Whatever you have to do.
You're trying to make some good points here.
I think it's valid. I mean,
why wouldn't you go on if you watch CNN on TV? Why wouldn't you go online and watch CNN online? Like, why would you divert your viewership online? Why would you look at a different outlet?
If you watch on CNN,
dude, people who are hooked to their TVs. To their TVs, and they sit there and
their
have.
phones.
You're getting at a new point.
They have CNN, Fox, ABC, whatever, where they're sitting there watching about the same shit. You know, that's in the news all day, and they're not able to like say, hey, you know, maybe there's more out there, maybe there's more interesting things out there that I can educate myself on.
Right.
This is the internet is a better platform, a bigger platform for people who have podcasts, who have blogs, who are posting things that are interesting. I don't think he was specifically saying that.
I understand what you're saying. Casey's saying that why would somebody that watches CNN go to check fact checked? They're not going to go on the internet and read something else. They're going to go read either CNN online or they're going to watch CNN on TV.
Well, they're just a dumber generation.
So what I'm saying, all I was saying was that when you look at news channels that aren't CNN, aren't Fox or whatever, you see something. They're reporting something different than what the mainstream media their agenda is pushing.
Right.
So I'm saying is that why haven't we woken up to the fact that right.
You know,
I'm saying more of a mass populace. You know,
too difficult to
maybe
look at.
No, dude. It's not difficult.
It's
not difficult. People are just for some reason people just can't separate themselves from the shit that's being forced down their throats.
No, I think it's just complacency. I don't think that they're choosing to just take one or the other. I think they just don't really care to.
No, well, that's what I just said. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter if you're watching CNN on TV or online. You're just saying about the counterculture on the internet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's the bigger platform. Because people can just. All people need is an internet connection and a voice
and a keyboard
or words, and they get their message out. Yeah. I mean, it's not getting the same number of people as CNN is, but it's people. The average American isn't digging for stuff on the line. They're not digging for stuff like the Young Turks and Vice and this and that. Mm-hmm. You know, like they're not even going on the internet. They're going straight to fucking Facebook. Dude, and they're worrying about what people, you know, about the play that people's kids are just in and all this other nonsense.
So I guess your question is how do we get them off Facebook just to look at?
No, I wasn't saying how do you get them to look. I was saying I find it curious that we're an age of a lot of information, but we still are being manipulated by a mainstream that doesn't really that, in my opinion, is extremely fake. Like you could see through it pretty easily what the agenda is.
As much as you're looking, I guess.
No, I don't even think if you're looking. I think if you just watch it for an hour, you'll go like, wow, this is really heavily tilted toward an agenda.
So if someone watches CNN for an hour, they can see that there's an agenda there.
I would think so, and I think I think the reason why people don't want to see it is the same reason people don't want to look.
People like us, not
people just are force-fed.
Not the
a lot
norm.
of people are not like people like us.
They don't know any better.
I just said that. Yeah, people don't know better.
They don't know any better.
I disagree with that.
Force-fed down people's throats.
I disagree with that. I think people do know better. I think it's exactly the same reason why people don't want to.
Do you think that our parents know better? That generation, though.
Yes, I do. But they don't want to create. They'd rather look the other way than to look at it.
It's basically more difficult to deal with the problem.
I see that, but ignorance. I do also see that a lot of them just don't.
It's better to be ignorant than it is to know what shit's coming down the pipe.
It's better. It's easier for people to be able to get in a conversation with wherever they're at work, at someone's party, wherever.
It's much easier to talk about the game.
Can I get the rest of my thought out?
Maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Well, I mean, it's easier for people, and that's part of the complacency you're talking about. It's easier for people to just be able to get in the conversation about the stuff that is like at the top, that's trending, that is like the unimportant shit, like Bruce Jenner and all this other stuff.
Yep.
As opposed to being able to get into the conversation with the people that are actually who are like us, who are interested in what's underneath the
So why did you
mainstream.
take offense when I said it's more difficult to deal with like real issues? Like it's just a harder, more difficult path to actually sit down and realize that. Wait a minute, there's a problem with education, there's a problem with politics.
Because they don't want to worry about it. They work their 9 to 5, they get home, they eat dinner, and they just want to veg out.
Wait, it's just an easier way to just not deal with issues, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
who took offense? I don't know.
I said it was more difficult to deal with issues that are presented to you. So people are like, I can look at Kim Kardashian, or I can like read this article on.
Well, I don't think it's only just Kim
Kardashian's
another thing. That's a distraction. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, there's an agenda being put forward through media that is trying to manipulate you to think a certain way, right? So it all stemmed from our initial idea that I feel like there might be capability to now more than ever manipulate people to believe a certain agenda that maybe doesn't exist at all, and it's a created narrative. But we have a way right now to fact check that. Does that make sense? Like, we have a way to find out online and like look at, okay, I heard this here, but let me look at all these other sources and see what else going on. There's Twitter, which usually blows up stories before anything else, really, anything else comes out.
Twitter's number one.
We have so many things that are at our disposal right now that you would think that we, as an educated society, or at least a society that's capable of choosing, our path, because we have those opportunities through the internet and everything else, that we would do more of that. But we don't seem to do that. We still seem to absorb the same thing.
We have the technology to connect with the Oculus Rift and do bigger, better things, but what we use it for is entertainment.
Yeah.
Just because, is it just a self-gratification?
Like, why is it?
That's beyond our control.
Yeah, we could put on an Oculus Rift and travel the world.
That's
watching porn.
That's beyond our control, though, unless we're sitting here developing something.
Why isn't the Oculus Rift right now being used in hospitals for people like doing surgery, so they can literally get like,
that's part of the claim of it.
Maybe not just that. Maybe it's something else where there's massive issues. Maybe it's remotely operating something through Oculus Rift. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes people out of harm's way. Robotics. We've been hearing about robotics since we were kids, right? It was like robotics. It's going to change things. Robotics is still not integrated.
Yeah, especially 80s kids.
It's still not integrated. What? You know why?
Military.
And you know why it's not? Because if you keep people chasing after that nut, they don't question anything. But you know what? If we made life easier and said, you know what? Why does everybody have to go to a job and bust their ass to make peanuts, literally? I mean, and be in that, because there's a controlling body that wants to control people, and if you made their lives easier with robotics and technology, those people are they're gonna start thinking about other shit. They're gonna start going, wait a second, no, I don't agree with this. But if you got them worried about where they're gonna find their food, how they're gonna pay for this, how they're gonna make their car payment,
keeping up with the Joneses,
yeah. And then you distract them with all this stuff. I just think it's a bigger plan in place. And I go, so how comes entertainment has those amazing breakthroughs, but we don't have these breakthroughs in basic stuff that we need to do in our lives?
Because entertainment is simple-minded. Entertainment's easy to digest. But when you want to talk to people about more important things like medical things and other stuff like that, it doesn't make people as comfortable. Would you agree or not agree?
I disagree.
I mean,
how the hell do we have holograms and we haven't figured out how to kill cancer? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the things that I think about. It's like, how do we misplaced our funding and human ingenuity and put it in a place where we're literally making a better video game that is literally changing our technological understanding of the world, but we can't cure cancer.
Yeah.
Or even I'm not saying cancer is a big thing. Just like smaller diseases why aren't we, and you always hear about this. I mean, this is something that I wanted to bring up on another time, but funding that's going to like these cancer societies is not even going in there, right? I'm not going to get into it, but
let's.
But another time we'll get into another podcast, because I want to donate a podcast literally to these foundations.
Yeah, well,
but our funds are not finding their way into the right grooves that they need to fit into, right? They're going into other stuff, and I believe that there's more to it than meets the eye.
There definitely
just exactly like the hologram, right?
There definitely is, and I'm not saying.
Do you have any Transformers?
But I think the only reason you could talk about conspiracies is they'd have to have like a bigger purpose, right?
Right.
Like 9/11 conspiracy would be to attack another country.
Yeah,
because
false flag
people are comfortable. People are comfortable with the shit that they're fed, and they're not able to think. That's the premise. People aren't able to think that, hey, like, maybe there's something that isn't right here.
People also like a good tragedy story. I mean, like, everybody wants to talk about, that everybody wants to tune in when there's like blood, guts, gore, and fucking destruction. I mean, nobody's going to listen to very few. I would say less people are going to listen to a heartfelt story than a tragic story.
That's why all the news is negative right now, because it's
Yeah, they just keep you.
I mean, I remember when 9/11 happened, my parents were like glued to the couch for months, just watching nothing, the same shit over and over again, or this little tiny tidbits of information.
And we may find out years from now that those planes were actually CG computer. I mean, listen. I wasn't there. I didn't see it with my eyes, so I can't say. But what I saw on the TV, I'm starting to go, maybe I should question the shit I see on TV. You know what I mean? Didn't Anderson Cooper get busted for like being in front of a green screen and like faking ducking down from explosion? He wasn't even there.
Yeah, something
on CNN. Oh, really? I mean, all this shit has happened. Like how many times?
And Brian Williams or something. Didn't something happen with Brian Williams where he lied about something?
Yes, that's right. That was more recent. Yeah.
I forget exactly.
Well, he lied about
his daughter. His daughter's really hot though. She's been in some movies. He
lied about being in a situation that wasn't as bad, like a firefight or something like that.
All right.
But what was the guy back in Iraq? The Desert Storm or whatever. Remember there was a guy that was like that he got busted because they were like ducking down and there was like a fake palm tree in the background or some shit, and they were like the guy who was trying to put this helmet on. I don't
think I caught that.
Anyway, this stuff's been happening forever. I just think that now we're on a slippery slope because technology could potentially exist that people. And maybe you guys, we could probably all watch a movie and go, that's probably CG, like what they did. But some people might not know that an explosion that they see in some kind of war situation is not real. Because I wouldn't be able to decipher if an explosion was real or not.
Because when they apply that to like consumer grade videos, it's way more convincing.
Yeah, because it's all grainy and and it's like a shaky camera.
And when you see Transformers, it's like super high res IMAX shit, and they're putting robots in that kind of look almost convincing. So to apply that same technology to like some shitty consumer grade camera video, it's very easy to do.
I looked on YouTube and I was watching videos that shouldn't exist, whether they dealt with like ghost stories or some kind of weird. Yeah, that one definitely shouldn't exist. Yeah.
Which one?
But then I watched
2 Girls, 1 Cup.
I watched the videos and I took it for face value, and then they had another link saying 10 photos that shouldn't exist. I was like, well, I could make all these in Photoshop, so I didn't even watch. Like at some point, you have to realize the technology's there. Yeah.
Casey just clicks on all of it. And it pops up on his feed.
That's how I get this mentality.
He just gets real dark late at night.
Like once you see one thing,
that's not even a. Once you start getting into the Illuminati shit, then you start going down a really dark path. Start watching that kind of
if I see a post that says 10 photos you shouldn't see, I scroll down. I don't click it.
Usually,
dismiss it because
isn't that like like spyware or some shit?
Yeah.
Like, when you click on those,
you don't click that stuff to begin
with. That stuff's like cookies or whatever.
It's on YouTube.
Soon.
I wasn't trying to downplay what you want to say about cancer, the whole cancer discussion,
What do you mean?
Well, because I said don't talk about that.
With the funding.
Oh, the foundation thing?
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
No, I know.
I didn't mean that in a bad way. I meant that
No, that's an episode by itself, probably.
Yeah. I don't want to. That's something I could spew off for like an hour easily on that.
That's something I wanted to talk about. Because it's just important. But that's not really controlled by anybody other than the really diabolical people that are stealing.
There's a lot of people that say, the business of people it's a business of people being sick.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. We have Hollywood, we can't cure cancer, but I don't think that's the whole story. I think if you cure cancer, you chop out a huge profit
for a lot of people
maker and it's horrible to think that way, but these are the kind of things that you think about when you start to look at the entire picture, right? And you say what's mainstream, what's not mainstream, what's fringe, and you look at everything.
When you're able to educate yourself,
and
a lot of people don't have that ability, unfortunately.
Well, okay, so I think that we're getting there, though. I do think that people are starting to realize that, because now we see a lot of protests that are happening, and I think that's really important.
We've always had protests, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
Haven't we always had protests?
Yeah.
Now we have Twitter.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, now people can protest online. Yeah. No.
I'm just trying to be hopeful about it and not think that people are, because I don't think people are innately dumb. I think people are innately looking out for their best interest.
Yeah, but
I think once their best interest becomes,
people are still feeding the system. People are still feeding the all these like your example. And again, not to dive into it head first because we could talk about this for like a couple hours, another episode, but. People are still feeding into the cancer,
right? The Red Cross and whatever, right?
Foundations and funds and whatever else.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they have these fundraising events going on.
Yeah. Which
I'm going to one on Friday.
Okay.
Which my family has done for like the past 10 years.
So throw it out there. What's the? Oh well.
No. Well,
this won't drop until after Friday. But what's?
No, I'm not. No. I'm not asking people to go.
Oh.
What's the foundation, Telly?
No, it's Relay for Life. It's
Okay.
They have them everywhere.
Yeah.
But my point being is that
it's part of a bigger picture.
It's very frustrating for a person like myself, okay, who understands that you can't blame every cancer for people not being healthy, but at the same time, you would think that when people have lost people to cancer, they would be a little bit more receptive to the fact that there are things that they shouldn't be doing in their lives, like smoking or eating bad.
Yeah. Well, that's not always the case.
No, but I'm just saying. On top of the fact,
it goes back to the idea of ignorance. Most people they don't want to think about the bad shit that's going to happen, that's coming down the pike. They'd rather just go, "Oh, I'm just oblivious to whatever I'm doing."
I shouldn't be
right.
drinking this beer.
On top of the fact, no. But hear me out.
Maybe not. If that's every day,
hear me out. So you have people dumping money. Okay, and I say dumping because it's just like mindless. When you're just handing.
If you're a money dumper, when you click on our website, we have a donation.
Yeah, you can dump.
We have a donation button. You can dump as much money as you want.
Squat down and dump.
Dump it all.
I hate to come across.
And you can even dump it into. We have T-shirts for sale, and they'll go to a good cause. So you can dump some money in there.
Dump your money right on our chest.
I hate to be negative.
You can just dump it at our doorstep too.
No, I hate to be negative, but this is like real stuff. This is stuff that
Just kidding.
I wish more people were thoughtful.
Not kidding.
I wish more people were thoughtful about, because you have these fundraising events. This is what I'm getting at. You have these fundraising events, okay, where you're raising funds to find a cure. I put cure in quotations. A cure.
Air quotes.
For cancer. Okay. Yeah. And cancer is a horrible disease, and there's little kids dying from it. There's old people dying from it, and everyone in between. Okay, but when you have events and you're raising money, and you're doing so by doing things like selling food that isn't healthy, that's sugar laden, that's red meat.
Isn't it on the buyer to not buy that though?
Buyer beware.
Just to be aware that this food is bad for us. We shouldn't be buying this.
No,
dude, hear me out.
Telly's just saying it's counterproductive.
Hear me out, okay?
It'd be like there might as well be a cigarette vendor.
Hear me out. You're saying buyer beware, but buyers
every pack of cigarettes donates $1 to lung cancer treatment.
That'd be awesome.
That would be disgusting. Can you imagine?
I'm trying to make a point here about cancer, but you know what? Yeah, we can continue this another night. I mean, it's.
I just think listen, Telly, we know exactly what you're talking about, man. You're saying that by it's counterproductive selling stuff that is not healthy at an event that's trying to raise money for
a cancer cure.
Right.
Meanwhile,
but you got to understand that people, not everybody's just gonna buy a broccoli stick, or a thing of broccoli and eat
I understand that, but the ignorance is just really, in my mind.
We have
in my mind, it's just very ignorant. It's very, it's not mindful.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. But I have to go because, people can laugh. Go ahead. I mean, that's fine.
No, we're not.
That's fine.
I'm just imagining you at one of these things.
No, well, look. I bite my tongue,
spazzing out.
Flip over the donut table.
I bite my.
Do not go to Race for the Cure with Telly. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I bite my tongue, but that's just. That's just how I feel.
No, well, what you're saying
people in my family know that's how I feel too. But
what you're saying makes sense. It should be mindful of nutrition and mindful.
Thank you. That's what should be promoted. Is living healthy lives so that
But Taylor, you also, I mean, you know that's not some people just like to be part of a thing and wear a shirt and donate money. They don't want to think about their own health. You know?
I get it. So then let's stop trying to find cures when we can take things from a preventative aspect.
That's
that's what's fucked up.
That's an even better point.
That's what's. I have a lot of good points, dude.
You do.
Yeah, thanks. That's what's fucked up with our medical industry in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, it's reactionary, not preventative.
It's a reactionary, not preventative. Anyway.
No, I think
it's just timely because I'm going. To the event, on this Friday. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just frustrating. It's really frustrating.
I think that we're obviously have so many different things on the docket for podcasts to talk about, and one of the upcoming podcasts will definitely get into the foundations and these things that are going on with the Red Cross, the cancer societies that are basically skimming money. And I think that like we said, that's another topic that really is. It deserves a lot more time than just kind of squeezing.
Oh yeah, I apologize.
So.
I mean,
no. I was just saying that it's something that we'll definitely get into.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a couple things to promote. We have some guests coming up. So before we wrap this up, I figured I'd throw a couple things out there of potential guests that to look out for. In the future podcasts, and also some things. So real quick, does anybody have anything that's going on other than? I know Telly was just talking about the what was it the.
I'm not promoting anything.
Relay or whatever.
No,
Bobby, do you have anything that's happening other than just the basic?
When's this coming out?
This will be next week.
Next week, I still got stuff at.
Go ahead.
Telly's whispering.
But you can't whisper
sweet
on the mic. You'll hear it.
In my ear.
I still have. I'll have stuff in Porters and Easton still. Sold out at my show in Brewworks. Not bragging, but yeah. So there's nothing there anymore for anyone.
It's all sold out,
it's
folks.
All gone.
You better get on.
If you napped on it.
You better get on this.
You go to Porter's.
You better get on this. Real quick shout out. So we finally got our set kind of more in place right now. So anybody checking this out on YouTube is able to see some cool work. We had a piece up there that sold within 30 minutes when we.
Yeah.
When you first put it up there.
It was a fun night.
But we got some cool artwork on here, so hopefully you guys like the set and everything.
Can we shoot one where we kind of turn the lights off and have the horror movie sort of?
Yeah, sure. We got to set. We all have to set up the lights so our camera's not all grainy and everything.
But yeah, right. When this comes out, I'll have stuff in Porter still. And then, as always, Baby Blues Barbecue in Philly. Check them out. They're awesome. I have stuff there. Great guys. Yeah. There'll be a really new thing there very soon. So. Check that out.
Very cool. Check it out. Casey, what do you got going on, man? Anything?
Nothing.
That's a lie.
He's looking at smirk.
Casey's
lying.
drawing all kinds of stuff. If anybody wants to pick up an original Casey, just message us on Facebook or Instagram. I'm sure he can accommodate you.
I will block you.
I got a shout out to my boys at Jazz Influenced Records.
Oh, nice! He's repping the shirt.
Wearing the shirt that I designed. I designed for them. So check them out. Jazz Influenced 610 on Instagram. Jazz Influenced 610.
What do they do? What's their thing?
I think it's jazz.
It's jazz.
Jazz Influenced.
What is it?
Anyway.
So wait, is it?
No, it's not a big deal. Just shouting them out. Check them out.
Influenced by jazz.
It's music that's influenced by jazz.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of stuff. Anyway,
I was just curious.
Just give them a shout out.
It's a record shop.
No, it's they do DJing. They want to produce music, things like that. So local. But check them out. They'll buy a T-shirt. Whatever.
Check them out.
It's a dope shirt.
As far as the podcast and my artwork, you can go to artwarriorproject.org or you can go to andrewmkish.com and it'll basically take you to the same place. Got all the good stuff all in one shot. Please, anybody that's listening to the podcast, if you like the podcast and you like some of our designs, consider getting a T-shirt. It'll help us on the podcast, and also a percentage of the proceeds. I think right now we have it set at $5. Will go to our Life Pack project, which is designed to help our local community of homeless people and basically give them a backpack full of stuff that is. Things that they may need, from toilet paper to peanut butter to gloves, hats, those type of things. And we'll be putting that together later in summer. So as the podcast is rolling along, you'll hear more about that as we go. And we'll give you some solid dates on when we'll have events and when we'll be putting that into action. We'll also be going to be trying to do. I talked briefly with Bobby and with the other guys about possibly doing some cool videos to get into our process.
We're gonna do some sweet vids.
With
a Z.
And about our process, about how we do some stuff, like as far as art and just our daily operations of things, and try to put something cool, interactive stuff out there. So keep your eye out for that. As well as we'll be having some guests starting to come in this week and therefore after. So I don't know if that makes sense. After this week.
Therefore after they shall come.
They shall come. We'll be having some guests in. So check out our podcast. We'll be having some people talking about good stuff and very some informative things. We're not sure at 100% on our schedule right now, but we'll be locking that down. And as we do, we'll be posting stuff on our Facebook, Instagram, and the website. So thanks again for listening. We really had a great. This was a really good podcast.
We
got some good stuff in there, and we will see you next time. Later.
Game over, man. Game over. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!"